Starting in Konoha, I got the Rinnegan by signing in. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 51. The person disappeared all of a sudden, and appeared on the only mark. However, at this moment, the accident happened suddenly. The Bofton Shimonin had just appeared, and the underground suddenly stretched out a hand and grasped the ankle of the Bofton Shimonin. Not good. An unpleasant feeling flashed through Bofeng Shumen's heart. Before he could move, a faint voice came from his ear. The technique of beheading in the heart. He just felt that there was a flower in front of his eyes, and when his body swayed, the whole person was buried in the ground, and only a head appeared. Boom, and Liu Ren quietly ambushed the shadow clone there, and it was automatically released, turning into blue smoke and disappearing. Bofeng Shui Men. That was done. The current wave of Feng Shumen was completely imprisoned, and he couldn't even use a single piece of ninjutsu. It was no longer a concern. Bofton Watergate. It is conceivable that he is depressed at the moment. After fighting for so long in the 3 wars, he has never missed the entire ninja world. They are all planted on the same trick. Chapter 42. Water Escape. Water Breaking Wave. Just when Liu Bian had just controlled the Bofton Watergate, such a voice faintly rang in his ears. A feeling of danger instantly hit my heart. Laugh. At this moment, a water line that was sharp enough to shoot through the steel plate, shot directly at Ryubana from the mouth of Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. Liu Bian naturally entered the virtual state, and the water line directly passed through Liu Bian's body. Tisk tusk tusk, sneak attack, isn't it shameful? With a sardonic smile on Liu Bian's face. He just turned his head and looked at this oil from a distance. Although the man who did it was Goku Tachibana Yakira. Goku Tachibana Yakira was also a person with status like Tsukage anyway, and he should not be able to do a sneak attack. Most of it is in order to bring oil to Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. With this oil wrapped in Baiju affect his face, a trace of blush flashed. He thought he was standing at the top of the ninja world, acting as the black hand behind the scenes, treating all living beings as chess pieces, and planning the entire ninja world in the next big chess game. Such a despicable method is also a bit embarrassing, but now there is no alternative. Shenwubi and Flying Thunder God. No matter which one is enough to make a ninja come and go without a trace, immune to most attacks. This person actually possesses these 2 stunts. If you don't use extraordinary means, you won't be able to keep this person with soil, with each other. Isn't it the same for you to use your clones to ambush the Feng Shu Gate? He said stiffly, but he actually knew that the 2 were completely different. Liu Ren smiled contemptuously. But, can this mere water escape ninjutsu hurt me? Normally, you can't, but don't forget where it is. This is Uchiha village where it rains all the year round. How heavy is the humidity in this whole village? You must have felt it? There's much more moisture in the air than in other places. Under such an environment, do you guess how long this water escape ninjutsu trick can last? Bringing oil is authentic. Others didn't understand this, but Liu Bian was clear about it. I am afraid that only he and Jito knew about this place. There is a time limit for the illusion of divine power. Bringing this oil is planning to let Goku Tachibana Yakira take advantage of this weakness of the gods, and break the gods of Liu Bian. Doing this is tantamount to exposing your own weaknesses. In order to deal with me, you really took great pains. Liu Ren didn't have a trace of panic on her face, as if she was talking about trivial things. Let's help him. Zio-nan, who had been watching, whispered to Yuhiko and Nagato. Although it seemed to her that the attack of Citrus's position did not hurt Liu Bian at all, listening to the conversation between Liu Bian and Tuota was as if that trick was a great threat to Liu Bian. As smart as her, I immediately felt something was wrong and planned to support Liu Bian. Stop them. Tai Tu had been staring at Zio-nan and the others, and when he saw that these people were not honest, he immediately shouted at the Baiju and other ninjas who were controlled by him. A group of people rushed towards Yuhiko and the 3 of them. You 2 cover me, Zio-nan whispered to Yuhiko and Nagato, and then a large amount of paper flew out of her body, like a flying butterfly, condensed behind her. A pair of wings is formed. Zio-nan flew directly into the sky, past the ninjas who were blocking them, and flew towards the Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. Stop him, Dai-Tu sternly commanded, and the ninja on the ground shot a large shuriken and Kumu ninja at Zio-nan in the air. Chi-chi-chi-chi, chi-chi-chi-chi. Zio-nan's body also shot a large number of paper shurikens. blocking all the shurikens and other attacks that blocked her. When Yahiko and Nagato saw this, they launched a fierce attack on the ground troops, and the pressure on Xionon in the sky was suddenly reduced. It can no longer effectively intercept her. Xionon flew to the sky above the Tachibana Yakura very smoothly, and shot a large number of paper shurikens at the Tachibana Yakura. Humph! Brought this oil coldly snorted, slapped both hands suddenly, Mudun ninjutsu acted out, and amid the squeaking sound, a large number of branches suddenly protruded from the ground. Chapter 52. Intertwined and entangled together, forming a barrier between Kochi Tachibana Yakura and Xionon, completely blocking Xionon's paper shurikens at the same time. A large number of wood sticks pierced towards Xionon. Fiercely faced with this level of attack, Xionon's Zhidun couldn't stand it at all. He could only spread his wings and retreat in embarrassment. 3 people were caught in a siege. Just protect yourself, they can't help me, Liu Ren couldn't help but said to the 3 of Yahiko. Originally he was thinking of using countermeasures, but he didn't expect that before he could use it, Xionon and the 3 of them would lose their breath first. However, seeing the 3 people caught in a hard fight, Liu Ren still felt that he should fight quickly. Thinking of this, Liu Bian's complexion suddenly sank, raised his head and looked straight at citrus orange Yakura. The kaleidoscope suddenly turned. Amaterasu, Kodachi Tachibana Yakura instinctively felt a great sense of crisis. And more accurately said, it was a crisis of life and death at that moment. He was almost instinctive, and instantly released the tail beast chakra in his body, and the flame-like red tail beast chakra's coat immediately wrapped his whole person base. Almost at the moment when Kochi Tachibana Yakura was wrapped up, a black, terrifying flame burst up on his tail beast chakra's coat. What? Kodachi Tachibana Yakura was burned to the ground and screamed. The attack of the convection blade was naturally interrupted. How can it be? It is dumbfounded to bring this oil. When being attacked, tubular, this person can take the initiative to launch an attack on others. For the belt's oil that also possesses supernatural power, it shatters the situation of the 3 views. As we all know, Shenwubi cannot attack others when it is virtualized. Once an attack is launched, it must be substantive, but this kind of attack is just an attack in the conventional sense. But it does not include pupil surgery. After all, Shenwubi itself is a kind of pupil technique. If the pupil technique would also make the divine power substantive, then the divine prestige would not be able to virtualize at all. This is completely contradictory. So will a person use 2 pupil techniques at the same time conflict with each other? Liu Bian proved with actual actions that there is no conflict. His current blur is just the pupil technique of the left eye, but Amaterasu uses the right eye to activate it, and does not affect each other. Also, this terrible black flame, what is it? Is it also pupil technique? One eye is powerful, one eye is black flame? This is also possible? The power does not appear in pairs. At this moment, the whole brain was buzzing with soil, and it was completely messy. Chapter 43. What? As everyone watched, Kodachi Tachibana Yakura rolled on the ground for a while before he stopped struggling, and his tail beast chakra's coat was completely burned out. It was revealed that Kodachi Tachibana Yakura himself had passed out completely at the moment, and a large area of his skin suffered severe burns, which looked really horrible. The muddy face was called an ugly face. Originally, he felt that he had controlled the 2 people of Bofton Shuman and Kodachi Tachibana, and could easily catch Ryubana, but who would have thought that this person's strength was much stronger than he thought. Bo Feng Shuman fought you and me with this person for a while. The citrus was more embarrassed when he held a position, and he was defeated by this person in an instant. Think about this person's abilities again. The of Flying Thunder, Divine Might, that is not sure if it is the terrible black flame of pupil technique. Taitu only felt his scalp tingling for a while. Such an opponent, he had no confidence in winning. Take soil. This enemy is really tricky. Your plan this time has completely ruined. Let's withdraw as soon as possible. At this time, A Fei, who is wearing the soil, made a proposal for the soil in a desperate manner. Shut up, Daitu angrily rebuked A Fei, but his eyes were staring at Liu Blade, and he didn't dare to relax at all. That weird black flame, he had no idea how Liu Bian was launched, and brought him a great threat. Said it was a pupil technique, but one eye was supernatural and the other had black inflammation, which was a bit unreasonable. Saying it was not pupil technique, he clearly didn't see the other side's GI, and it's weird bringing this oil to himself. Dealing with such a powerful enemy, the ordinary tricks are of no use at all. He no longer talks nonsense, and slaps with both hands. Click, click, click. Tree branches in the ground broke out of the soil, attacking Liu Bian like venomous snakes. Liu Bian used the technique of Flying Thunder God to easily escape, and instantly appeared in another place, and the speed of Muzi could not keep up. Huh? Flying Thunder God, really troublesome. Bring this oil, coldly snorted, although he does not have the remote power, but Mudun is not inferior to the remote power at this time. Branching out a few branches, gathered all the Flying Thunder God Kyuwukun on the ground together, and sucked it into the divine mighty space. In this way, the Flying Thunder God of Flowing Blade was tattered. He still didn't believe that Flying Thunder God could teleport into another dimension. Click. At the same time, under the control of this oil, large tracts of wood sticks broke out of this oil, constantly attacking Liu Ai, and surrounded Liu Ai from all directions. The speed is extremely fast, and Liu Jian surrounded it in the blink of an eye. At this time, Liu Bian was unable to get out because the of Flying Thunder couldn't get out because the surroundings were all blocked by wood and branches. It is even more impossible to use the divine power to transfer space, because when you move oneself into the divine power space, the body is actualized, and the transfer will directly be hit and injured. Under the estimation of bringing the soil, Liu Bian can only use the two tricks of imagining or the terrible black flame at this time. However, no matter what the trick, this oil can be cracked by continuously using the power of the wood to control the regeneration of the wood branches, and continuously attack the flow blade. Chapter 53. If the other party uses black inflammation, I will create 10 sticks after burning a stick of my wood. If I take this oil and I don't believe it, the black inflammation is endless. The same is true for the blur, and this oil will also control the continuous growth, creeping, puncture and other uninterrupted attacks of those wood branches. Once the time is up, the blur can also be broken. Now, let me see how you want to break this trick of mine. Dai Tu looked at the sky full of wood branches, and thought confidently. Liu Bian naturally thought of all the things that brought oil can think of. At this time, Fei Lei Shen was useless, Shen Wei and Amaterasu were not very good, but it didn't matter. Liu Bian had other methods still. In the case of not considering Kai Suzo, 8-door Dunjia, the first door, open, Liu Bian stood proudly in the center surrounded by the branches, and instantly opened the 8-door Dunjia to the 5th door. Boom! With this oil, I immediately felt that within the wooden nest, a burst of incomparably powerful energy suddenly burst out. Wooden nest was suddenly punched out by life. Then one person rushed out of that mouth, and the whole person burst out with a shocking huge force, which made this oil feel a kind of suffocation. What's the matter with this terrible power? Tao took a sigh of relief on the spot, and was shocked by Liu Bian's powerful means once again. Monthly reading. In the first moment when he rushed out of the wooden nest, Liu Ren looked directly at his eyes with soil, and cast this heaven-defying illusion on this oil. Tai Tu only felt that there was a flower in front of him, and the world around him had become black and white. This is illusion. Suddenly, the soil was taken aback. He is a kaleidoscope of writing round eyes. He can also be illusionary. What kind of illusion is this? Too bad, right? At the moment, the writing wheel eyes in the pupils with soil suddenly turned, and the strange and disturbing black and white world around them finally disappeared. But at this moment, brought this oil but found that his body was burning with that terrible black flame. Yes, the real purpose of Liu Bian's monthly reading is to create an opportunity to use Amaterasu on this oil. Bringing soil is also a kaleidoscope writing wheel. Liu Bian is not sure how long it can be trapped in the monthly reading space. It is not a wise choice to use monthly reading to deal with it, but one thing is certain, even if it is a kaleidoscope with soil, when facing the moon reading, in the real space, the opponent will definitely be absent for a moment, and under Amaterasu's attack against the sky, a momentary loss of consciousness is fatal. Ah! It hurts, Bai Juefei suddenly screamed, and the body wrapped around this oiled body also began to struggle frantically. Everyone saw that the body with this oil began to squirm like that, which was indescribably weird. Click. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Afei began to split the wood branches frantically in the place where he was burned by the black flames, pushing all the black flames out in time. The strong man broke his wrist and actively smashed the wood sticks burning with black inflammation. This was the relief of this huge crisis. Good risk. Good risk. I almost died, Afei exclaimed in fear. His face with oil was extremely gloomy, and he also had an unstoppable fear. If he hadn't been wearing a white coat, he would have died. Tai Tu. This person is too powerful. Let's withdraw quickly. I don't want to die, Afei yelled non-stop in Tuo's ear. Chapter 44. Shut up. Tai Tu was made very irritable by Afei, a fellow who has the ambition of others to extinguish his prestige, and frowned and drank. But even if he didn't want to admit it, he still had to admit that his plan this time had fallen short. The failure went to Grandma's house. After staring at Liu Ren with eyes that were intertwined with many emotions such as unwillingness, resentment, and jealousy, Tai Tu didn't say much nonsense, and started the instantaneous technique and left the scene. The reason why he didn't use Shenwubi to leave was because he still had the last glimmer of hope in his heart. In this action, he used the transformation technique from beginning to end, without revealing his true face. Nagato and others, shouldn't they know who he is? As for the mysterious Uchiha at Annihilate, although he guessed that his purpose this time was Nagato and the others, it was absolutely impossible to know what kind of identity he had appeared before Nagato. Before there is the last fluke in Day 2's heart, that is, Nagato and the others will not see through their true identities. Seeing the evacuation with soil, Liu Jian did not stop him. The current soil carrying is not only the power of God, but also the use of Mu Dun. Under the premise of not revealing the Eyes of Reincarnation, he has no certainty to stop it. As soon as they took the soil, the Shirazus disguised as ninjas did not continue to embarrass Nagato and the others. They also began to evacuate quickly in the blink of an eye. There were only a few people left in the unnamed barren hills where people were everywhere. Yohiko, Nagato Xiaonin, and the Bufang Shuman buried in the ground. As for the Kochi Tachibana Yakura who fell into coma on the ground, I'm sorry, this poor baby's sense of existence in Hokage is too low, and Liu Bian has subconsciously ignored it. Your Excellency, thanks to you this time, otherwise our Zio organization may be destroyed. After the people with Tusu evacuated, Yohiko and the others came to Ryujin and thanked Ryujin very sincerely. You're welcome. I was also involved inadvertently. Liu Ren waved his hand as if he had done a trivial thing. I wonder if you can tell us who you are, so that we can also know who the benefactor is, Nagato said while looking at Liu Jian. Uchiha Ryubana. Ryubana groaned slightly, and still told Nagato their true identity anyway. The true appearance was seen by Nagato and the others. It was from the Konoha guards. It didn't really matter if you said your name. The other party really wanted to know, and it was found after an investigation. Chapter 54. Yohiko and the others didn't know that Ryujin had known them a long time ago, and they all came to give Ryujin a name. Several people exchanged greetings, and they formally met. By the way, do you know why the guy who pretended to be Konoha's Enbu designed you? After a few conversations, Liu Jian asked. I already have a guess. Yohiko's eyes flickered and his tone was deep and authentic. He and Nagato and Xiaonin looked at each other and found that the other's eyes were affirmative, and they knew tacitly that everyone had the same guess. It should be a guy who calls himself Uchiha Madara, Yohiko said in a deep voice to Ryublade. Almost a year ago, that guy suddenly found Nagato. He called himself Uchiha Madara, the leader of the Eyes of Reincarnation, and wanted to absorb Nagato. However, he is too extreme and extreme. We have always been very defensive against him and did not give him any additional meetings using Nagato. This time the action, I guess it was planned by this person alone, and the purpose should be for Nagato. If it weren't for you to destroy in time, Nagato would probably become this person's puppet, Yohiko murmured and said his guess. Although it was only a guess, Yohiko's tone was actually quite certain. After all, the layout of this scene with soil is really a bit weird. Controlling such a big battle of Hokage and Water Shadow is just to perform a scene in front of Nagato and the others. This is not justified. However, if the things about Uchiha Madara are combined, everything becomes reasonable, and the logic can be perfectly self-consistent. It is not surprising that Yohiko and the others made this inference. I was so happy when I heard Yohiko's words. Tato really shot himself in the foot with a rock this time. The success of this failed operation made Yohiko and the others become more vigilant. In the future, if you want to redesign Nagato and others, it will not be so easy. However, Liu Ren didn't expose the identity of Dai 2. The ghost knew whether there was Baiju in ambush around him. He didn't want to expose his prophetic foresight, thus attracting Heiju's attention. Liu Edge, what are you going to do next? After a few simple exchanges, Yohiko began to look at Ryujin and ask again, naturally bring Hokage-sama back to Konoha? How about you? Liu Ren asked rhetorically. Yohiko thought for a while, and exchanged glances with Nagato and the others. We plan to send Mizuki-sama back to Wu Ein and tell them that Mizuki-sama is controlled by others. Liu Bian didn't feel surprised at this, and Akatsuki was still a brilliant and upright organization, so it wasn't surprising to act in this way. Moreover, Shui Ying had originally accepted their invitation to participate in the peace negotiations. If such a big accident happened in the middle, they were also obliged to send Shui Ying back after the two parties agreed. Yohiko and the others left with the unconscious Kodachi Tachibana Yakura, while Liu Ren came to the Bufang water gate, which was buried in the ground. If I just dig you out like this, you will definitely take action against me. Liu Ren shrugged and said rather painfully, looking at the original Konoha and the guards who were knocked unconscious and killed by Yohiko and the others on the ground. Ryujin felt a little troublesome. Bofeng Shuman didn't speak, but stared at Liu Ren coldly. Now he is still under the control of this oil, treating Ryublade as an enemy. So he definitely can't bring it back to Konoha directly. That's purely causing trouble for myself. After thinking about it for a while, Liu Ren made a decision. He first faced Bofeng Shuman's eyes, the writing wheel in his pupils turned around, and he activated another Gao's pupil technique. Not only has the illusion of the Bofeng Shuman been lifted, but also the relevant memories of the Bofeng Shuman have been tampered with. To put it simply, in the memory of Bofeng Shuman, he saw through the conspiracy with soil, and the person who repelled this oil was no longer Liubian, but a mysterious person who appeared suddenly. As for Liubian, like the other Anbu people, they were all reduced to pawns with soil, and under the control of soil, they besieged the 3 leaders of Zio, and was finally knocked out by the leader of Zio after replacing the memory of the Bofeng Water Gate. Liu Ren dug the Bofeng Water Gate out of the ground. He himself lay on the ground honestly, acting as a corpse just like the other Konoha ninjas who survived. Not long after finishing all this, Bofeng Shuman regained his sobriety. He recalled what had happened just now, and he was shocked in a cold sweat. Who is that guy who knows how to use time and space ninjutsu? What on earth is he making such an elaborate plan for? Bofeng Shuman recalled what happened, and he was really in a cold sweat. If it hadn't been for that mysterious person's sudden appearance and ruining the masked man's plan, his dignified Konoha Hokage would have become the other party's puppet. Chapter 45. A full investigation of the masked man. It is not suitable to stay here for a long time. I must go back to the village immediately and notify Konoha of this matter. After simply sorting out the memories in his mind, Bofeng Shuman quickly awoke the Konoha ninjas who were unconscious on the scene, entering chakra to interfere, breaking the illusion in the opponent's illusion, and then hurried back to Konoha with a group of people. It is worth mentioning that Liubian's use of other gods only replaced a piece of memory for Bofeng Shuman. Nothing more. It is not to use other gods to control the wave of wind water gate all the time. So chakra in Bofeng Shui Men's brain is in a normal state. It's not like the citrus orange Yakura. The chakra in the brain is in an abnormal state all the time. And then is discovered by the Blue Eyes. Even if Hyafeng Mizuman returned to Konoha, facing the investigation of the Hyuga clan, he would not show any footwork. What's more, it is impossible for people of the Hyuga clan to investigate the Hyafeng Shuman casually. Of course, even if you investigate, you can't find anything. What happened during the peace talks by Mizuno Manami quickly caused a sensation in Konoha, and the masked man directly entered the sight of all the high-level Konoha. According to Hyafeng Mizuman's description, this person possesses the mysterious and unpredictable time and space ninjutsu, and at the same time is proficient in Muton and has the eyes of the Uchiha clan. Even the Bofeng Shui gate was planted in this person's hands. It was too dangerous and terrifying, but it was precisely because of this that the mysterious person who saved Bofeng Shuman also shocked the entire Konoha. The man not only easily defeated the Bofeng Shuman, but also smashed Kodachi Tachibana Yakura in seconds, making the masked man fled in embarrassment. And he was simply overbearing. And after listening to Hyafeng Shuman's detailed description of the passing of the masters of the Ryubian War, Sarutobi Hizuki and the other masters in the office couldn't help but nod their heads. Basically, the identity of the mysterious person can be confirmed. A year ago, the Misty Ninja Sword 7 men invaded Konoha and 5 people were killed by the mysterious man. According to the descriptions of the witnesses Yuruhong and Metke at the time, the mysterious man used a kind of domineering black flames. According to your description of Watergate, the mysterious man also used a black flame to repel the water shadow and the masked man. These 2 black flames should be the same method. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55. So according to my inference, the mysterious person who rescued Watergate today should be the same person who has been hiding in the village. Sarutobi Hizen was pacing in front of everyone while pondering. This view is still agreed by everyone. After all, there are only so many masters in the ninja world, and the 5 shadows basically represent the highest level of ninjas at the moment, on which there is at best Hanzo, known as a demigod in this case. It is too rare for a strong person to surpass the shadow level. It would be nice to have one. How could you encounter 2 in a row, and they all happen to have good intentions for Konoha, rescue Konoha, and at the same time be proficient in the same kind of black flame? This possibility is too low. The mysterious person who shot this time is the mysterious person who has been hiding in Konoha. This is the closest possibility to the truth. Unexpectedly, That mysterious man is not only proficient in time and space ninjutsu, but also proficient in Watergate's Flying Thunder God. This is incredible. Thinking about the power of the mysterious person described by Bofton Schumann, everyone at the scene couldn't help but feel suffocated. That surpassed them by a lot. Another level of power. Fortunately, this kind of strong is a friend of Konoha, not an enemy. Next, the Konoha and the guards who survived, including Ryubana, also accepted Konoha's investigation one after another. The confession of all of them is highly consistent with Bofton Schumann, so it did not arouse Konoha's suspicion. These people are not so lucky. Liu Ren didn't waste other gods on them, just controlled it with pure kaleidoscope illusion. After all, it's just a group of young people. No one cares. The senior Konoha soon turned his attention to the masked man. In their opinion, the mysterious man has repeatedly rescued Konoha. Not enough to worry, now the only threat is the masked man. After receiving Konoha's investigation, Ryubana trimmed it for a while, and then went back to the Konoha guard to report. However, not long after returning to the Konoha guard, he and another guard member who survived were called by the patriarch Uchiha Tomatake. Uchiha Tomatake's expression was very serious. He stared at Ryu and the other person and asked in a deep voice, "Can you be sure that the masked man who attacked you halfway is from the Uchiha clan, patriarch?" "We are sure, we can see clearly, he really has a riding wheel," Liu Ren and another person answered truthfully. Fu Yu asked carefully about the pupil technique with soil, and some other detailed questions, as if he wanted to confirm the identity of soil. It's just a pity that the masked man wears a mask from beginning to end, and there is no way to confirm it. "Okay, I see, you go back to the guard first. Remember, the masked man, don't talk to others casually." Uchiha Tomatake recounted the two of Liu Ren. The Uchiha clan and the village originally had a very deep estrangement. If news of the mysterious Uchiha people attacking Hokage Konoha spreads out, this estrangement and contradiction will be greatly intensified. Even now, Uchiha Tomatake can feel the suspicion of the village leaders towards him. Even Saratobi Hizuki and Mito Menayan asked in secret whether they knew the whereabouts of the masked man. "Who is that Uchiha tribe?" After Ryuzen and the others left, Uchiha Tomatake began to fall into contemplation. However, he emptied his head and couldn't remember who the other party was anyway. After returning from the patriarch, Ryubian began to join the ranks of the Konoha guard and began to patrol the village. "Red, I bought 2 movie tickets. Are you free tonight?" "Asuma, I said you don't want me anymore. I don't like you at all. It doesn't matter if you don't like me now. I won't give up. You will accept me sooner or later. I will never like you. I already have someone I like." When patrolling a street corner, Liubian saw a man and a woman arguing in the street. It is Zairuhan and Asuma. The guy Asuma is still stalking Zairuhan. "Liu Edge, this guy is pestering your woman again." "Oh, Liubian. It seems that the lesson someone learned last time was not enough." Liubian's companion showed a very playful smile beside Liubian, and looked at Liubian. "Liubian, what are you going to do with it?" "You are waiting for me here," Liu Ren replied casually, and then strode towards Asuma and Zairuhan. Chapter 46. Liu Knife. Hearing the sound of footsteps, Yuri Hong glanced, and saw Uchiha Ryu who was walking towards them. His eyes lit up and he blurted out, seeing Yuri Hong's familiar attitude towards Liu Ren. Asuma's face suddenly became gloomy. The fist clenched unconsciously. First, he felt envy and hatred for the relationship between Hong and Liu Ren. Second, he unconsciously recalled the humiliation that this man had brought him. "Miss, may I ask if this person is harassing you?" Liu Ren ignored Asuma's gaze that wanted to eat people, and asked Zairuhan righteously. "Uchiha Ryubana, don't go too far." Asuma called out to Ryubana angrily. "What's the matter? Because you are Hokage's son, you can ignore Konoha's rules? I tell you, get out of Hong's side immediately, or I will definitely do you." Liu Ren turned his head and glanced at Asuma condescendingly. Coldly Asuma almost exploded her lungs. "Liu Ryan, forget it. Hong didn't want to make things happen, so he pulled Liu Ryan's arm on the side. Whether to count or not, that's not my decision." Liu Ren's gaze fixed on Asuma, and the threat was self-evident. "Asuma, you go. Don't come to pester me again," Red also said to Asuma sternly. At this time Asuma's face was flushed and flushed. At the time of his youth and frivolousness, he couldn't help it anymore, and let out an angry roar. Too much deception. Chapter 56. Call. Amidst the roar, he hit Liu Ren with a fierce punch, looking for death. A trace of disdain flashed from Liu's mouth. The methods used in those days were made in the same way, using physical skills on the surface, but actually added the power of Shinluo Xian's Hang. Asuma was once again blown away by Liubian. "It's exactly the same as before. How come? Why is it still like this?" Asuma couldn't believe it and couldn't accept it when he was particularly shinobu. He was vulnerable to Ryubian's hands, but now he's already shinobu unexpectedly? This is still the case. Ryubian walked in front of Asuma in time, stretched out his hand to pat the dust on Asuma's clothes, and said softly, "In the future, stay away from Hong, otherwise I will see you hit you once." Boom. After speaking this sentence lightly, Liu Ren slapped Asuma's stomach with a fist. Asuma was knocked over by Ryubian with a punch. She curled up into a ball while clutching her belly, and couldn't get up. Okay, the matter is resolved. After doing all this, Ryubian seemed to have done a trivial thing and came to Hong's side. Liu edged. "So, isn't there a problem?" Hong asked worriedly. "What's the problem?" "I'm just acting according to the guard's duty." Liu Ren looked dissatisfied. Hong recalled carefully. It was indeed Asuma's first hand that it was a good idea to do so. "I hope that after this time, I can get rid of Asuma." Hong couldn't help but think in his heart, "By the way, I heard you say before, do you have someone you like?" Liu Ren suddenly asked the fly. "You can control it." Hong stopped immediately, and fled like a thief. A few seconds later, Asuma, really embarrassed, a voice suddenly rang behind Ryubian and several other guards, and Ryubian and several other guards subconsciously followed the prestige, and each was surprised. Especially the people from the other two guards were not only surprised and shocked, but obviously there was also extremely cramped and nervous on their faces. "Sir, Jiraiya." They looked at the wandering ninja with long white hair and oil written on his forehead, and they couldn't help feeling a pain in the egg. No matter how arrogant the Uchiha people were, they couldn't be arrogant when they met a ninja of Sen, and this is especially true for ordinary Uchiha people at the bottom. What's more, in this embarrassing situation, Jiraiya is also a third-generation student, but Ryubian beats his third-generation son, Master Jiraiya. Asuma showed shame and embarrassment, and hurriedly got up from the ground, wishing to get into the cracks immediately. "Isn't it just being beaten? What's the big deal? Don't be discouraged. Who hasn't been beaten when you were young?" Jiraiya couldn't help laughing when he saw Asuma's appearance. He seemed to recall the scene when he was beaten up by a violent woman, and at that time, he was not convinced by the genius Toshimaru. He went to challenge many times, and he was tortured too much. "But you little guy is quite interesting. Your physique is so powerful." Zilai also walked towards Liu Ren with a little curiosity. The other two Uchiha people around Ryujin became more and more nervous. Ryubian looked as usual, calm and calm. "I have spent all my time practicing physique. Naturally, I have some accomplishments in physique. A Uchiha who specializes in physical training." "Interesting," Jiraiya also murmured, and then said, "Haha, go ahead and leave me alone." He just turned around and left. It seems that there is no opinion at all about the Konoha guards bullying Asuma. In fact, it was true. Although Ryubian beat his teacher's son, in the eyes of Zilai, it was just a matter of a group of children with his current seniority. He would not intervene at will. "Master Jiraiya, please wait a minute." Liu Ren suddenly stopped Jiraiya from behind. "That? Master Jiraiya, don't you know if there is any more intimate heaven with your autograph?" Liu Ren ran to Jiraiya and asked, as a Naruto fan, "Now that I met Jiraiya, how could I not ask the other party for a love story? This is extremely collectible." "Oh haha, you turned out to be my fan." Jiraiya never thought that when he came back to the village, he met a fan asking for an autograph, and he suddenly showed a smug look. "Although I'm very happy to meet my fans, isn't it okay to see intimacy paradise at your age?" Jiraiya also touched Liu's head with his hand, and pressed Liu's hair. Liu Ren was very disgusted and knocked off Jiraiya's hand. "Master Jiraiya, it's not that I look down on you. You must be driving without me. Regarding the old driver, I claim to be number one in the entire ninja world. No one dares to call it second. Drive? Old driver." Although Jiraiya didn't understand how Liren suddenly talked about such an irrelevant topic, he felt a deep contempt in Liren's eyes and the breath of a fellow man. Chapter 47. The new son of prophecy. "Well, I'm a teenager, and I'm not a kid anymore, and it's okay to look at it." Perhaps he smelled the same kind of taste, and Jiraiya changed his attitude. "However, I don't have an autograph copy on me now, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I will stay in Konoha for a while, and I will give it to you when I sign it another day." Chapter 57. "That's a deal, Lord Jiraiya. A word is settled." Jiraiya also waved his hand at Convection Blade and walked away. Sharon. After Jiraiya left, Asuma stared at Ryubian for a moment with a humiliating, unwilling and resentful look, and then left here quickly. "Huh? So nervous, I was really scared to death just now." The two companions beside him couldn't help sighing. After all, they were indeed bullying Asuma before. "Relax your mind. What level of ninja is Jiraiya who'll take care of our little things? Liu Ren said lightly. Continue to patrol the village casually. It's just that in my heart, I'm thinking to myself that Jiraiya is going back to the village this time. Is he going back to the village to see it, or is there another purpose? Both of these are possible. After Jiraiya came back, he concentrated on collecting materials in some women's bathhouses, women's clothing stores and other places, enjoying it and forgetting the time. Teacher, you are back. It wasn't until Bofeng Shumin received the news that he personally rushed to Jiraiya's side. Shumin, I heard that you have become Hokage. It's amazing. After seeing Bofeng Shumin, Jiraiya reluctantly put away the telescope in his hand. It is the cultivation of the teacher, and the trust of the village. Bofeng Shumin is very modest and authentic. The teacher and the student exchanged a few words, and Zilei began to face Bofeng Shumin with a serious face. Shumin, go and summon everyone here. I am coming back this time and I have important things to tell you. Bofeng Shumin looked slightly drunk, not daring to be negligent, and immediately took Jiraiya to the Hokage office. At the same time, the absolute high-level officials in the villages such as Sarutobi Rishi and Mito Menayan were called over. Jiraiya, now everyone is here, you can say anything important now. Sarutobi Rizhan took a sip of dry smoke, and slowly spoke to Jiraiya. Jiraiya looked serious, and told the people in the office about his special experience a few days ago. A few days ago, I was collecting materials, cough cough, when I was looking for the Son of Prophecy. I was suddenly psyched up to Maya-Oma Mountain by a deep immortal. Shenzu Ocean Ren brought me to the front of the Big Toad, and the Big Toad told me that the Son of Prophecy has changed. The original Son of Prophecy is a blue-eyed boy who laughs and calls the name of the nine-headed beast. He will bring a major change to the ninja world, but now, that young man can no longer influence the future of the shinobi world. Now the major changes in the shinobi world will be caused by another person. That person will be the son of the new prophecy. As soon as Jiraiya's words came out, they immediately attracted everyone's attention. They didn't dare to be careless about the prediction of the Big Toad Immortal. Jiraiya, regarding the new prophetic son, what did Immortal Toad see? Sarutobi hurriedly asked. The new Son of Prophecy is covered by a mist, and the Big Toad Immortal can't see anything. He can only see one picture. The Son of Prophecy is standing in front of the black flame. Jiraiya's voice sounded so solemn. Black flame, Jiraiya, you mean the black flame? Jiraiya never expected that. When he had just finished saying these words, several surprised sounds suddenly sounded in the Hokage office. Why are you all looking at me like this? Do you know who I am talking about? G. Lai was also faintly excited. He hadn't found the first prophecy for so many years. He had no clue. But he couldn't think of a new prophecy. He had a clue just when he returned to Konoha. You said, is it possible that a mysterious man who has repeatedly saved us Konoha is the Son of Prophecy? After Sarutobi Risen thought for a while, he suddenly looked at everyone and said Boften Mizuman, Mito Menayan and others looked at each other, each showing a thoughtful look. So far, this person seems to be the only eligible person they know so far. After all, Black Flame hasn't been used by anyone except this person. Mysterious person. What kind of mysterious person? Only Zulai looked dumbfounded. In the past 2 years, he has been wandering around in the world of shinobi, and he has never heard of anything like a mysterious person. Sarutobi Rishi, Nami Feng Shuman and others told Jiraiya about a mysterious man, and Jiraiya was surprised and bewildered after hearing it. Sealing the half-tailed beast-shaped person Zuli, defeating Anoki, killing 5 ninja swords, and defeating Boften Shuman. That person seems to be no weaker than him, but for such a master, Konoha has never known who it is for more than a year. Great, since he can use that kind of black flame, maybe he really is the Son of Prophecy. Let's find this person first. Jiraiya was also excited and authentic. Then the people in the office began to recall various details about the mysterious man in detail, hoping to find more clues. In the end, a breakthrough was found from the Boften Water Gate. It turns out that Chihiko, Nagato, and Zayanin have also seen the mysterious man. It just so happened that the 3 of them are my students. I will ask them to see if I can get more clues. By the way, look at them too. Since I left Uin village, I haven't seen them for a long time. Jiraiya also happily made the decision. Pete, fortunately I am not assured. I use telescopes to spy, otherwise my identity will really be exposed. Seeing all these flowing blades through the telescope technique, I am secretly grateful Yuhiko and the others have seen the true appearance of Ryun. Not only that, but they also know Ryun's name. Jiraiya only asked these 3 people, and it was certain that something went wrong. Of course, given Liu Bian's current strength, no one can handle Liu Bian even if his identity is really exposed. but that would be too troublesome. He has become accustomed to the days when Xianyu signs in every day. He is used to the days when his parents are screaming about him every day, and he is accustomed to returning to the days when the clan and the people are bragging about each other. Ryubana does not want to change this status quo. Chapter 58. It seems that I have to take some measures. Ryubana made a secret decision in his heart. It just so happens. I also take this opportunity by the way to see if I can sneak into Maya-Oma Mountain to sign in. Chapter 48. After making the decision, Ryubana went to work and patrolled quietly on the surface, but in fact, a ninja crow came out, hovering around the village all the time, and used it to stalk Jiraiya. Don't look at Jiraiya's usual unreliable appearance, but he is not at all ambiguous when facing business affairs. He didn't delay Konoha at all. After coming out of Hokage's office, he went out of the village without even drinking his saliva. Ryubana naturally had no nonsense, and left a clone directly in Konoha, quietly following Jiraiya because the task this time was not so anxious. Jiraiya also didn't use the instantaneous technique to hurry on the way, but seemed to be traveling while wandering, while relaxing, while rushing, even took time to soak in the hot springs. It doesn't need to say what materials are collected during this period, just don't worry, sometimes it takes several hours to collect materials well. Liu Jian puts away. It is also very reliable evaluation, according to Zilei's method of driving. I don't know how many days will be taken when I leave the country of fire. Ryubana was very speechless, so he had to return temporarily. There was still a ninja crow left to monitor Jiraiya. It wasn't until the afternoon of the third day that the old man Jiraiya finally left the country of fire and appeared in an extremely remote field. The ninja crow flew away after circling nearby. However, after ninja flew away, a vortex appeared in the space of that place, and Ryubana directly used the divine power to rush over. Transformation technique. Boom. After using the transformation technique to change his appearance, Ryubana just started the instantaneous technique and followed Jiraiya, who was on the road leisurely. Suddenly stopped. Jiraiya was also a master in his own right, and Ryubana didn't deliberately conceal his tracks, so after a long distance, he was noticed by Jiraiya in advance. Ryubana had just a few ups and downs, and stopped in front of Jiraiya, blocking Jiraiya's path. Where do you go for shameless things? I will ask you to settle accounts today. He has become another person's Ryubana, and shouted at Jiraiya in a tone that was very angry, and seemed to have a wives taking hate with Jiraiya. Jiraiya's face was dumbfounded. He stared at Ryubana carefully for a while, but didn't respond. Your Excellency, I don't seem to have seen you before. Have you admitted the wrong person? Bah, Jiraiya, I'm looking for you. How could I admit the wrong person? How dare you hook up my wife and cuckold me? I'm going to kill you today. Ryubana also shouted at Jiraiya. That, is it your misunderstanding? A cold sweat broke out on Jiraiya's forehead. I am a gentleman. How can I do such a thing? Don't quibble, I saw it with my own eyes. You secretly kissed my wife's face and touched her ass. How can I be a big man? I'm going to kill you, Ryubana shouted fiercely in a murderous tone. After the clamor was over, Ryubana flipped his hand directly, drew out a huge shuriken, and shot it at Jiraiya. The huge shuriken split into countless clones at the first moment, turning into a rain of shuriken swords, and covering the path towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya's complexion changed slightly. His hands completed the seal in an instant, and he patted the ground. Tootin, Tolubi, rumble, an extremely heavy earth wall instantly rose up in front of Jiraiya, blocking Jiraiya's whole person behind. All the shurikens hit the dirt wall. Only then did Jiraiya jump out from behind the dirt wall. His complexion has become a little dignified. He stared at Ryubana, and asked in a deep voice, this is the ninjutsu created by my teacher, how can you use it? I have a nickname called Copy Master. As long as I see the ninjutsu, I can copy it. I saw Sarutobi Hizen once using this ninjutsu. Ryubana is talking nonsense. Nonsense. Hurry up and honestly call in. Who are you and what is your purpose? Jiraiya sternly shouted at Ryubana. If you win against me, you will know it naturally. Ryubana said to Jiraiya in a deliberately provocative manner. His purpose of intercepting Jiraiya this time was to prevent Jiraiya from going to meet Uchiha and the others, and second, to fight Jiraiya and force Jiraiya to psychically come out of Maya-Oma Mountain's Toad. Then Ryubana will quietly leave the Flying Thunder God technique on Maya-Oma Mountain's Toad, so that he can sneak into Maya-Oma Mountain to sign in. Therefore, the frame with Jiraiya is indispensable, and not only to fight, but also to fight freely and embarrassed, unable to parry. Had to summon psychic beasts to defend against the enemy. You are right about this sentence. If you have one, you can't do it without saying it. Jiraiya also snorted, unfolding physical skills, and rushed towards Ryubana. Tadada, In an instant, Jilei rushed in front of Liu Ren, so fast, Liu Ren was slightly taken aback, and Jilei was worthy of being a 3 ninja. From the physical skill alone, it could be seen that Liu Ren was at least thrown out of the street. Spiral pill, in the blink of an eye, a ball gleaming with blue light condensed in Jilei's hand. Spiral pill? I'm sorry, I will too. Liu Ren smiled softly, and a ball that was exactly the same as Jilei's hand appeared in his right hand. Chapter 59. How come? A look of surprise appeared on Jilei's face, and the dignified color was aggravated a bit. He held the helix pill and slammed towards Liu Bian. Liu Ren also held the helix maru, in a posture of going head-to-head with Jiraiya. However, just as the two sides were about to collide together, Liu Ren turned around inexplicably and directly used the divine power to blur Jilei, then went straight out of Liu Ren's body. Nani? Jilei was also taken aback by Liu Ren, and the empty door behind him was caught off guard and exposed in front of Liu Ren. Liu Ren turned around a long time ago, seizing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The spiral pill in his hand slammed into the back of Jiraiya. However, after all, Jilei is one of the 3 ninjas, and it will not be so easy to be recruited at this critical moment. The spiral pill in Jilei's hand dissipated, and he patted his hands. Ninfa, needle Jizo. In the blink of an eye, Zilei's white hair suddenly soared, and he surrounded Zilei's entire body. To put it simply, Jilei at this moment has also become a group of hedgehogs. Chapter 49. Chi. Especially when Liu Bian approached Zilei's hair turned into sharp blades, and it pierced towards Liu Bian. Liu Ren ignored it, and continued to press the spiral pill in his hand severely. Around the spiral pill, there is an extremely powerful energy vortex. Any hair that enters a certain range around the spiral pill is repelled by the powerful energy vortex. Coupled with such a flash of lightning, it was actually too late for Jilei to use this trick hastily. The defense is sufficient, but there is not so much time for him to hurt people. The hair blade almost protruded, and the flow blade spiral pill was already pressed on it. Boom! Powerful energy fluctuations burst out. Jilei was immediately knocked off by Liu Ren. However, after a few bounces, Jiraiya stood firmly on the ground. Most of Helix Maru's attacks were defended by the needle Jiji, but in fact it did not cause much damage to Jilei. But Jilei also looked at Liu Jian's eyes. But it was full of solemnity and surprise. This person suppressed himself in such a short period of time, and his strength was too unfathomable. Hodun, Yanbo. Jilei quickly formed seals with both hands, and with a mouth, sprayed a huge flame against Liu Bian. Liu Jian's eyes were immediately covered by the overwhelming flames. Jiraiya's fire escape ninjutsu, although a little worse than Uchiha Madara's fire escape, is much more powerful than ordinary people use. When did the fire escape ninjutsu kill anyone? Liu Ren shrugged, and spit out with his current chakra volume. Naturally he would not choose to go head-to-head with Jilei, which is extremely unwise. So Liu Bian directly found a Flying Thunder God Jutsu, and shot it at Jilei. Call. Wu flew out of the sea of flames, approaching the door of Jilei. Jilei's face was cold, slightly surprised. He really didn't understand the meaning of Liu Bian shooting this Quan in this situation. Does the other party think that this can hurt him? That is simply impossible. But when this thought just flashed in his mind, Jilei felt that a flower suddenly appeared in front of him. A figure appeared in front of him so abruptly there is no doubt that it is Liu Bian. This is the Flying Thunder God of Watergate. Jilei's pupils shrank slightly. Squeak. In Liu Bian's hands, the thunder and lightning were violent, and a depressing supreme thunder was also permeating at the same time. It was more like 1,000 birds screaming in the ears, so that people's eardrums were about to crack. Kakashi, that little devil's Chidori. Jilei also felt a little bit big. Although this mysterious man didn't make many shots, basically every move was Konoha ninja's trick. What is the origin of this person? When these thoughts flashed in his mind, Jilei also immediately used the instantaneous body technique, and suddenly moved away. The edge Chidori directly fell through, as expected of Jiraiya. You can avoid it like this. Liu Ren's face was full of admiration. He used Flying Thunder God to appear in front of Jiraiya almost instantly. How could ordinary ninjas react? Most of them would be directly overturned by Ryubana. With Chidori, Jiraiya was able to avoid it perfectly. This kind of strength was indeed worthy of the name of Sannin. It seems that if you don't use some strength anymore, it won't be enough to force you to help the toad of Myomu Mountain. Liu Bian made a decision at this moment. He took off the sunglasses he was wearing on his face, revealing his pair of scarlet kaleidoscopes. Chapter 60. Anyway, Liu Ren had planned for it a long time ago. This time he was going to use other gods to tamper with Jilei's memory, making Jalaiah mistakenly believe that he had met Yuhiko, and the information obtained from Yuhiko and the others is completely consistent with Hafen Shuman. Only in this way can it be foolproof, so he is not afraid to expose the writing. Will Jiraiya was also taken aback. Shaolunan? You are from Uchiha? This was something that Jiraiya never thought of. At this moment, he finally understood why the other party would have so many ninjutsu. If you win me, I will tell you everything, but you haven't beaten me yet. Liu Ren smiled coldly, and looked at Jalaiah's eyes with pupils. Shenwubi, this time the divine power is the remote divine power. Crack. Jalaiah's head was directly cut off by Liu Bian, turned into a headless corpse, and then fell to the ground. Boom. But at the moment the headless corpse fell to the ground, a burst of green smoke came out of the corpse, turning it into a piece of wood. Jalaiah also used the double surrogate technique when he was about to hit the ball, but what Jalaiah didn't know at all was that Liu Ren had no intention of killing him, so the long range power was delayed a lot, leaving Jalaiah also a chance to react. Otherwise, even if he is not dead, he will be seriously injured. Rao was so shocked that Jalaiah also broke out in a cold sweat, and subconsciously touched his neck. Just now, a life and death crisis suddenly hit his mind. If he slowed down, his head would be gone. More importantly, he had been on the verge of life and death, and he didn't even know what methods the other party used. This person is too dangerous. Hey, do you hide? Jiraiya, are you afraid to fight me head-on? Liu Ren deliberately said in an arrogant tone, looking at the empty environment. Tutan, Huangquan Marsh. Vaguely, such a voice rang in Liu Bian's ear, and the soil under his feet suddenly turned into a swamp. Liu Bian's body was instantly out of balance. Random lion hair technique. Immediately after Jalaiah suddenly jumped out using the instantaneous technique, his hair turned into a waterfall and flew out directly at this flash of lightning. Liu Bian's whole person was entangled. The feeling on Liu Bian's side is that his feet are soft, his body has just shaken, and then the person is tightly by the white hair. He didn't even have time to use Flying Thunder God. Moreover, because he is not in attack, the short-range Shenwubi did not automatically transfer his body into the Shenwubi space. Of course, because now he has enough self-protection strength, Liu Bian does not intend to use the power of the reincarnation eye as a last resort, so Shenluo Xianzhang has not taken into consideration. But even so, Liu Ren was captured by Jalaiah in such a short time. I have to say that San Ren is worthy of San Ren. It is indeed not comparable to ordinary people. Fortunately, Liu Bian has many other abilities. Now, can you answer my question? Jalaiah also dignifiedly asked Liu Jian with his hair tightly bound because he was afraid of Liu Bian's long-range divine power. Jalaiah did not dare to appear in front of Liu Bian, but appeared on the side of Liu Bian. Although the long-range Shenwubi had only a shocking blow, Jalaiah also immediately guessed that it was a pupil technique, so he consciously avoided standing out of Liu Bian's sight. Chapter 50. Kicking Toadman 2 is like kicking sandbags. Jalaiah, do you think it was so simple to catch me? You underestimated me too. Liu Bian's confident voice sounded, and there was no awareness of being caught at all. His methods were much more than Jalaiah also expected. Chidori, with this low cry from Liu Bian, Lei Dun chakra began to ripple from his body at the same time. In Liu Bian's body, a network of thunder and lightning suddenly appeared. No matter it was Jalaiah, or Jalaiah's hair, all were within the attack range of the lightning web. If Jiraiya continues to restrain Ryubana, he himself will definitely be hurt by Ryubana's Chidori Ryu. Although he was still very unwilling, Jalaiah also had to put away his hair and use the instantaneous technique to get out of it at the first moment. This is to avoid the flow of Chidori. If you take a step slower, then the thunder and lightning will really fall on you. Thunder Dance ninjutsu without Kain. At this time, Jalaiah's complexion was already very solemn, and Liu Bian's strength had far exceeded his expectations. The other side's methods, the treacherous and powerful moves, were all unprecedented. Shenwubi. When Jalaiah was shocked, Liu Ren turned his head abruptly, and suddenly launched a long-range power against Jalaiah. Danger. Jalaiah felt a life and death crisis again, and subconsciously launched the instantaneous technique to dodge. However, at this moment, he couldn't avoid it perfectly. Shenwubi directly cut a hole in Jalaiah's shoulder, and blood spurted out directly. That's right, Jalaiah, I avoided it again, but how many times do you think you can avoid it? Liu Ren said to Jalaiah jokingly, hugging his arms. Don't mention how ugly Jalaiah's face is. That weird attack is simply impossible to guard against. If you don't pay attention, you will be hit, and there is no effective way to resist it, which is simply a headache. Chapter 61. Even if he has avoided twice in a row, Jalaiah has no confidence that he can avoid a third time. Although he didn't want to admit it, Zulai also had to admit that there was no way to defeat this mysterious man by himself. Thinking of this, Zulai didn't hesitate anymore. He began to seal up numbly, and slapped on the ground. The technique spread out in a circle. Boom. When Kingayan passed by, a huge monster appeared in front of Ryubana with a pipe in his mouth and a dagger hanging from his waist. It was Konoha's old friend Toad Fumita. This guy has signed contracts with Jiraiya, Bofton Shuman, and Naruto in the future. It can be said that they have served Naruto and their grandparents for 3 generations. That pair of eyes, are these from the Uchiha clan? Jiraiya, what's going on? Toad Wente asked awkwardly. I don't know the situation too well. I ran out of such an enemy inexplicably. Toad Win is too. Be careful of his eyes. His pupil skills are not simple. Besides, he can also be the thunder god of Watergate. In addition, Jilly also stood on top of Toadbuntu's head, confessing to Toadbuntu with a serious face. Long words to death, Toadwin murmured too impatiently, and then leaped forward, like a hill, crushing it towards Ryubana. Toadwin is so huge that it is impossible to be fast in speed. Ryubana doesn't even need Flying Thunder God, so he can avoid using instantaneous technique alone during this process. Ryubana silently left a Flying Thunder technique on Toad Wente. Then next, I'm going to overwhelm the Toad riding. Ryubana thought for a while, and if you want to turn over a big guy like Toad Wente, ordinary methods won't have much effect. You have to show your true ability. It's time to try your own Suzuo. Since Ryubana had a real eternal kaleidoscope of riding round eyes, he has never experienced what it feels like. Boy, don't you just know to run away? Toad Wente chased Ryubana several times and missed, and suddenly yelled at Ryubana. If I don't run, then you should run. Liu Ren smiled. No more nonsense. The kaleidoscope in his eyes turned. The huge blue energy began to condense and flow around Ryubana. In the blink of an eye, a blue energy giant appeared in front of Toad Wente and Jiraiya, but seeing that the blue giant was wearing armor, holding a sword in his hand, and a body of 17 meters, Toad Wente, he was a younger brother in front of Suzuo, Susanoo. Jiraiya, this Uchiha clan will open Susanoo. Why didn't you say it earlier? Toadwin looked up at the behemoth in front of him, completely dumbfounded. Boom. Before Jiraiya had time to talk, Liu Jian controlled Suzuo Nenghu to kick the Toad Wente with one kick, and he couldn't even use weapons. Toad Wente's huge body, at this moment, was kicked into the air like a sandbag, rolling several on the ground. Jiraiya, I have no strength. I want to go back. If you can't, go to Myaoma Mountain to hide. Don't be aggressive. Toadwin was lying on the ground and said to Zulai to see you poorly. Nature coaxed Toad Wente. Even Suzuo's casual kick can't stop it. Boom. After saying that sentence, Toad Wente turned into green smoke and disappeared. And fled back to Myaoma Mountain. Fly so far, Ryubana's plan is half completed. Next, as long as he replaces the memory with the other gods, he can go to Myaoma Mountain to sign in with confidence to deal with Zulai Yi's ranks. Naturally, there is no need for Suzuo. And Liu Jian immediately retreated from Suzuo's state. Your Excellency, with your strength, if you want to kill me, I'm afraid I can't hold on to it now. Right, Jilly was not a fool either, and after seeing Ryubana was able to drop Toad Wente in seconds, he confirmed this more and more. Since you know this, why don't you do it? Liu Ren raised his brows. Haha, that's not okay. How can I say it's Sanin? It's also for the sake of face. Jilly also decisively rejected Ryubana's kind proposal. There is nothing nonsense about Ryubana. He directly carried a handful of kuhane, and rushed towards Zulai. Jilai was also unwilling to show weakness, and also slew towards Ryubana. And the kunai of the two sides collided in the air. Doraemon, the crisp sound of gold and iron rang, and a burst of fire burst out. Then Jilai also kicked at Liu Ren. What Jilai never expected was that it was this simple kick that directly knocked Ryubana to the ground, but after the blade fell to the ground, it immediately turned into a piece of wood. Chapter 51 Myaoma Mountain Sanin. Perfect level immortal skill reward not good. Jilai also felt that something was wrong, but by this time it was already too late. Snapped, there is a hand on his shoulder. Jiraiya, you lost? At the same time a relaxed voice sounded, and Zulai turned around. There was no doubt that it was the mysterious person who had been fighting with him. I lost. I'm convinced that I lost. Jilai is also not someone who can't afford to lose. The other party can use the substitute technique to divert his attention, and silently appear behind him. He has already lost a terrible defeat. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. If the other party wanted to kill him, he would die for 100. It's just that the only thing that Jilei can't figure out is how could he be touched on his back silently with his strength? Is it what powerful means? Jilei also knew that there was no Flying Thunder God technique behind him, and the opponent did not shoot Flying Thunder God Q. Of course Jilei didn't know that Liu Bian was using divine power to transfer space, although Liu Jian used the blurring of divine power and the special cutting of remote divine power in front of Jiraiya. He had not performed any transfer to himself, so Jilei didn't know this trick either. That's why our Ryubian could appear behind Jiraiya so easily and restrain the opponent. Since you lose, then accept your fate. Liu Ren smiled lightly, and the writing wheel in his pupils turned, and he directly activated the other gods to Jilei. A memory he had set long ago was planted into Jilei's mind. After the memory was implanted, Jiraiya immediately thought that he had found Yuriko and the others, and also got the information he wanted from Yuriko and the others. Generally speaking, it is exactly the same as Bofeng Shuman said, and there is no more news. Jilei also began to leisurely, turning back towards Konoha. Now, you can go to Maya-Oma Mountain to sign in with confidence. Liu Bian looked at the back of Jilei and went away, feeling a little excited. He carefully felt the mark of his Flying Thunder God, and immediately knew where Maya-Oma Mountain was. However, Maya-Oma Mountain is a little far away from where he is now. With his chakra, using Thunder God at such a long distance, I don't know if he can succeed, but one thing is certain is that even if it succeeds, it will consume a lot of chakras, which is extremely irrational. Therefore Liu Bian did not choose to use Fei Lei Shen to sneak into Maya-Oma Mountain, but chose to use another safer method. Shenwubi is simply the best artifact for long-distance teleportation. After making the decision, layers of special vortices appeared in Liu Bian's left eye. He was sucked into the special vortex and completely disappeared. Maya-Oma Mountain on the clear waterfront with a graceful spirit. Boom boom boom. Two huge toads are undergoing a dual exercise. One toad is holding a weapon similar to a slingshot, and the other is holding a double knife. They are indeed the brothers of Toad Wente, Toad Guang and Toad Jian. The two toads were practicing energetically. Suddenly, with a bang, a behemoth appeared not far away. It was Toad Wente. It's just that the toad text at this moment is too weak to the extreme. As soon as it appears, the whole person is directly on the ground and panting. Obviously he was seriously injured. The Toad Guang brothers stopped the dual exercise together, and hurriedly ran over. Wentai, what happened? What happened to you? Don't mention it. I met a tricky Uchiha person, Toad once said weakly. Shenzuo Xianren, I have something important to report to him. Toad Guang and the two dared to neglect. They immediately took the Toad Wente and went to find Shenzuo Xianren. Immortal Shenzuo and Immortal Zhima were too hurt when they heard Toad Wen, and they didn't dare to be careless at all, so Kiki rushed over Toad Fumita psyched in by Jiraiya, and then encountered Uchiha who started Susanoo, and explained it in detail. After Shenzuo Xianren and Zhima Xianren listened, their expressions became much more solemn. Uchiha. What a troublesome surname. Immortal Shenzuo sighed, shook his head. Ninja world is afraid that there will be no peace. Shenzuo Xianren told the story of how the ancestor of the Uchiha clan, Indra, had abandoned his father's wish of the six Dao immortals and became enemies with the six Dao immortals. It is also very clear about Uchiha Madara's betrayal of Konoha during the Warring States period. They are too aware of the powerful power contained in those eyes, and throughout history, this clan seems to have always stirred up the wind and rain in the world of forbearance, unwilling to be peaceful. Even if it's now such a fall, it's in an awkward situation with Konoha if this clan once again possesses a powerful force. Shenzuo Xianren would really be very worried. No, someone broke into Maya-Oma Mountain. While sighing, Shenzuo Xianren's expression suddenly changed drastically. Just now, he sensed through Xianchu that someone had broken into Maya-Oma Mountain. This kind of thing had never happened before. For the time being, no matter where, no one in the ninja world knows where Maya-Oma Mountain is. Even if they know it, they won't be able to enter. How could it be possible to break in so quietly? Shenzuo Xianren didn't dare to be negligent. They immediately started their body skills, and disappeared in a few leaps. There is no doubt that the one who suddenly broke into Maya-Oma Mountain was Liu Bian. He took advantage of the special transfer of divine power and easily appeared in Maya-Oma Mountain. As soon as he appeared, Liu Ren immediately felt a kind of unspeakable refreshment, but seeing the mountains and rivers and the aura, it was simply a paradise. If you live in such a place, even ordinary people can survive all diseases and live 100 years, right? No wonder the big toad immortal has lived for so long. Liu Bian sighed subconsciously. A sign-in location is detected. Does the host sign in? The sound of the system in his mind interrupted Ryuban's thoughts. He couldn't help but shook his spirits and answered without hesitation, "Sign in, Ling." Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and getting the reward of the perfect level Maya Amashin Zyanshu, Perfect Fairy. Chapter 63. Ryuban couldn't help being excited. If you look at the entire ninja world, who can be called the perfect level of immortality, even with a fairy art that slipped between the pillars, when entering the fairy mode, there would still be a map on the face, not to mention the face shape of Ji-Lai who had changed. None of these people are perfect. What is really perfect? With a movement of Ryuban's heart, he instantly entered the fairy mode, and there was no change in his whole body even a little bit. Chapter 52. This is natural energy? Phew, isn't this the same as the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the novels of cultivation? No wonder it's called Zyanshu. Ryuban felt a huge energy flooding his body now, and felt unspeakable satisfaction, but the only regret is that when entering the fairy mode, what you pay attention to is the balance of the three energies: natural energy, physical energy, and spiritual energy, which means that the three energies each account for 1/3. If the natural energy exceeds 1/3, the operator becomes a frog. The perfect level immortal technique Ryuban had now allowed him to balance these three energies in an instant, but given the limited amount of chakra in his body, this perfect immortal mode can't last too long. It will be over in a few minutes. After all, Zyanshu chakra is based on its own chakra, but even so, once entering the fairy mode, Ryuban's ninjutsu and physique can be strengthened dozens of times, which is also a very bad thing. What's the matter with this chakra? How can you be a fairy? A shocked voice interrupted Ryuban's thoughts. Shenzu Oxian Zhi Maxian Ren, Toad Wentai and others all appeared in front of Ryuban. Shenzu Oxian felt his Zyanshu chakra on Ryuban, and his eyes widened in surprise. How did this person who broke and mastered the magic of Maya Omu Mountain? They have never taught such a person fairy skills. As for Toad Wentai, he did not recognize the current Ryuban, because Ryuban used the transformation technique to become another person. If it were the same as before, the Toad text had been seen before, so Meow Mushin would definitely contact Jilei and ask for his own news. That would be pure trouble for himself, and Ryuban has always been more annoying and troublesome. Of course, covering your eyes or something, that is needless to say. Uchiha's vest is too special. It is not appropriate to use this vest to do things outside. Purely asking for trouble. Your Excellency, who are you? Shenzu Oxian's eyes stared at Ryuban, and he whispered softly, "Don't be nervous, I have no malice against Maya Amashin. As for who I am really embarrassed. I don't want to disclose it yet." Ryuban shrugged, and stopped talking nonsense with the other toads. The Shenwubi pupil technique was used, and he disappeared in front of everyone. This is time and space ninjutsu. No wonder he can break into Maya Omu Mountain. Shenzu Oxian has a headache. Very authentic, since the opponent is a time-space ninjutsu. Even if they want to stop, they can't stop it at all. A crowd of toads look at me, I look at you. They can only leave one after another helplessly. After discussing the mysterious person who broke into Maya Omu Mountain for a while, they didn't get any very useful news, so they could not stop it. It's just that no one thought that after all of them had dispersed, the special vortex appeared again, and the Ryuban ghost appeared behind Toad Wentai like a ghost. Who? Toad Wen was so horrified that he felt as if someone had patted himself on him in a hurry, and hurriedly jumped to the side and turned his head to check. Sure enough, I saw that a special vortex was dissipating, and the figure of the mysterious person slowly melted into the special vortex, eventually disappeared completely. Toad Wen was too much for a long time and didn't understand it. The other party suddenly appeared. Such a time, what on earth was it for just to take a shot on yourself? But he carefully checked his body and found that he hadn't suffered any harm at all. What Toad Wentai naturally didn't know was that Ryuban turned back again, just to remove the Flying Thunder God's mark he left on Toad Wentai. This thing is not good for the people of Maya Omu Mountain to see. If they see it, based on their relationship with Konoha, they will definitely inform Konoha at that time. It will be trouble again. Trouble with this kind of thing is naturally a little less if it can be less. When Toad Wentai looked dazed, Ryuban had already slipped out of Maya Omu Mountain calmly. The harvest is not bad. Ryuban was very satisfied with Maya Amashin and his party this time. While he hurried leisurely, he kept thinking about it in his heart. Since signing in at Maya Omu Mountain really got the magic of Maya Omu Mountain, how about going to Longdi Cave or Wetbone Forest? Although the main holy land that appears in Hokage is Maya Omu Mountain, these three heritage holy places actually go hand in hand. The situation of the other two holy places should be the same as that of Maya Omu Mountain. The more Ryuban thinks about it, the more he thinks this operation is feasible. As long as you find a Shemru Tsunade, and force them to psychic out of 10,000 snakes and slugs. Isn't it enough? I hoped that Ashuin would not be burned to death by myself a year ago. The country of wind, the boundless piece of yellow sand. Boundless but in an inconspicuous position in the long yellow sand, there was a person standing there, leaning over and patted the ground with his hands, and the desert in front of him, like a sea wave, began to surging violently, and the momentum was extremely shocking under the turbulent waves of that sand wave. A layer of golden things slowly condensed on its surface. Chapter 64. Yes, it is gold. Fortunately, Master Feng Ying's magnetic escape can control the placer gold, otherwise the village's financial crisis cannot be resolved at all. Looking at the 4 generations of Feng Ying Luosha who is working hard to gold out, Magi couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Shan village was originally extremely poor because of the yellow sand everywhere. After a war, other villages would not hurt their muscles and bones, but Shan village really couldn't support it. To make matters worse, the Kingdom of Wind is still reducing its financial expenditures to Shan village at this critical moment, forcing Luosha, the dignified Wind and Shadow, had to use his blood inheritance boundary to make money for the village. How can it be a tragic word? Blood succession boundary is such a rare thing. Is it used for this kind of thing? Haha. Suddenly a silhouette flashed by, and several Feng Ying ninjas appeared beside Luosha using the instantaneous technique. One of them reported anxiously, Master Feng Ying is not good. Shao, he is resurrected. What? It happens at this time, whether it is Luosha or Magi. The complexion has changed. It has been more than 2 years since the person who guarded the crane, Ziuli Fenfu, and Shao, who was sealed in Fenfu's body, also died along with it. But the tail beast is a life form purely composed of chakras, and they will be resurrected after they die. But the time of resurrection is only a general range, and no one can determine the specific time based on past experience. Shao's resurrection should be in this year. It stands to reason that Luosha should be in the village personally to guard against this at any time. After all, only Luosha in the entire village can suppress Shao, but the finances of the village brook no delay, and Luosha had to take time out to pan for gold. As for Shao, I can only pray silently in my heart not to have bad luck, and he resurrected when he was out of the village. But it turns out that Luosha's luck is not so good. Back to the village, after such a major event, Luosha could not care about the gold panning, and hurried back to the village with the fastest speed. But when they went back, they only saw a mess in one place, and Shao had already disappeared without a trace. Chapter 53 Special Signing Event. What's going on? I can feel that there is a huge power hidden in the woods ahead. What is it? After everything was done, Liu Jian, who was about to return to Konoha, was suddenly attracted by a huge inexplicable movement. Boom boom boom. He could clearly feel that the ground was shaking, as if some huge force was beating the ground one after another. And looking around, the trees in the woods were continuously destroyed by a strong force, and fell down one after another. Click. At this time, a big tree was directly hit by a shadow, and a behemoth rushed out of the woods. This is Shao. Liu Ren recognized the sacred grumpy bear in front of him at a glance. No, to be more precise, it is Shao in a violent state. Liu Bian shook his head in his heart. Although he felt a little strange about this matter, he was not ready to take care of it. After all, this matter has nothing to do with any. Boom boom boom. The heavy blows on the ground continued, and the Shao who rushed out of the woods found Liu Bian, so he instinctively rushed towards Liu Bian. The newly resurrected Shao was attacked by the ninjas in Shan village, and he was completely angry long ago in this state. As long as any ninja appeared in his sight, no matter who it was, he would instinctively rush over and tear it apart. Detected Special Sign-In Event Activation. Special Sign-In Event. When one Shao appears, you only need to fix the Shao in the same place for more than 30 minutes, and a new sign-in location, the place of Shao, will be formed. Just when Liu Ren was planning to use Shenwubi to leave directly, the sign-in system in his mind suddenly heard such a reminder sound. After Liu Ren was stunned for a while, then he became excited. Needless to say, the particularity of the tail beast in Naruto is of course needless to say. In the past, Liu Ren had actually thought about signing in at the location of the tail beast, but he sadly discovered that there was no such place in the ninja world. The tail beasts now stayed well on Ren's-Huli. You can't sign in beside Ren's-Huli, right? Liu Bian didn't expect that this problem would one day be solved. Stop the tail beast for 30 minutes. Liu Bian couldn't help but smile, even before he could use illusion to control the tail beast. Not to mention that now you have obtained the fairy magic, you can use the sealing technology like the fairy gate to seal the tail beast. For the tail beast that the average ninja regards as a wild beast, Liu Bian is actually not regarded as the same thing. Boom boom boom. In a blink of an eye, Shao rushed to Liu Bian's face, raised his front paws, and slapped Liu Bian fiercely. However, He went straight through Liu Bian's body. Xiao was stunned for a while, unable to stop, slapped one paw on the ground, and directly shot the ground out of a big hole. Then Xiao became more irritable, turned around, and continued to rush towards Liu Bian. Originally, Liu Ren planned to directly use illusion to control Shohui, but he did not do so later, because Liu Ren wanted to try the immortal seal technique of Myoshin Gate. Chapter 65. However, in the current such violent high-speed movement of the Shou crane, the Myojin Gate is naturally unavailable for the time being, and Liu Jian must first explode the Shou crane. This is very simple. He just stood on the spot straight, not evasive. When Xiao rushed in front of him, his pupils flowed, and Suzuo Neng, who appeared directly and kicked him casually. The grumpy old man was directly kicked by Liu Bian. Roar. Xiao was much more naive than Toadwente. Toadwente couldn't get up directly after going down like this. Xiao was still alive and kicking. After rolling on the ground twice, he opened his mouth abruptly. The boundless terrifying energy condensed in his mouth, and a tail beast jade suddenly struck Suzuo Neng, who of course, Saseo didn't need to fear Marazuru's tail beast jade at all, but there was no need to head on. It was purely a waste of pupil technique. Sasane's Ryoblade threw a shot of mighty shuriken directly at the tail beast jade. The space vortex appeared, directly transferring the tail beast jade to the different space. Easily broke the strongest attack that Xiao could issue. Then, Ryoblade controlled a giant Suzuo to slash Maruzuru with a single knife, and then took the opportunity to raise his foot and step down. Boom! Xiao was immediately stepped on by Liu Bian, as if stepping on a small toy show. He was struggling constantly under the feet of giant Suzuo, roaring desperately, but he seemed so helpless and powerless, unable to break away at all, and his voice became weak and weak. After 2 or 2, Xiao couldn't hold it anymore. Even Toadwente was able to clash with Xiao. The strength of Xiao was not too powerful among the tail beasts. After all this was done, Ryzen took Sasori away in a hurry, and the Maruzuru on the ground was already unable to move at this time. Liu Bian thought, and instantly entered the fairy mode, and Jian calmly said, Xianfa, Ming Shinman, whoosh whoosh. Several red Torega gates descended from the sky and confined the Shou crane to the ground. Liu Ren clapped his hands. It can be said that he is in a good mood according to the system. As long as this state lasts for 30 minutes, you can sign in at the Shou location. The resilience of the tail beast is actually amazing. It only took 20 minutes. The Shohi, who was almost paralyzed, was full of vitality again. It's just a pity that Myoshin Gate is a sealing technique specifically aimed at tail beasts, which can suppress the chakras of tail beasts. Xiao couldn't break the seal of Myojin at all. In 10 minutes, the Shou location will be formally generated. Liu Ren's eyes were full of expectation. But at this time, a few figures suddenly rushed out. It was Luo Xia, who had been tracking down all the way, and several other Xia hidden ninjas. What's the situation? Luo Xia and the others were dumbfounded when they saw this scene in front of them. He was caught by this man unexpectedly. As the ninjas of Shen, they know very well what kind of power Mazuru possesses. So when they see a man sitting leisurely next to Mazuru, they feel so shocked and a trace of weirdness. That's Xiao? Is it really suitable for you to look so relaxed? This style of painting is really a bit contrary to harmony. It's Feng Ying. It's a little troublesome like this. They only saw that the man looked up at himself, and he was talking about trouble, but his face was still calm, and he didn't feel any trouble at all. Don't get me wrong. I don't intend to treat Xiao. Wait another 10 minutes, and I will return Xiao to you. Chapter 54. It is so pitiful to see that what Liu Bian said to Luo Xia and the others is indeed from the heart. As soon as the sign-in location of Xiao location is generated, he will immediately return Xiao to Luo Xia. There is no hesitation. It's just a pity that Luo Xia and the others can't believe Liu Bian in their eyes. Liu Bian seemed to be hitting their idea of the Sand Hidden Village tail beast. I don't care what your excellency's idea is. I will immediately return Xiao to me. Otherwise, I will only have to deal with your excellency. Luo Xia stared at Liu Bian stubbornly, and shouted at Liu Bian in a deep voice, Feng Ying, don't worry. Anyway, your Shen ninjas are there, and I can't run. Why don't you just wait 10 minutes to try? At that time, if I don't return the guard crane to you, it won't be too late for you to do something to me. If I hand over the Xiao to you at that time, won't a senseless war be avoided? Liu Ren shrugged. Master Feng Ying, beware that he is delaying time. Maki reminded Luo Xia in a low voice. With such a low-level means of delaying time, do you really think that everyone is a fool and will be fooled? This is simply an insult to everyone's IQ. Liu Bian, well, from the perspective of Shen Village, he really seems to be delaying time. Liu Bian could only shake his head and sigh, and didn't say anything more after all, no matter how he explained it. Luo Xia and the others would not believe it. Chapter 66. I count to 3. If your excellency is still like this, I can only be rude to your excellency. Luo Sha's voice was full of coldness and boundless murderous intent. If the other party can't give himself a convincing explanation for this matter, Luo Sha really doesn't mind killing. 1, 2, 3, Liu Ren looked helpless. I have said everything that should be said. If you don't believe it at all, I can't help it. Humph, Luo Sha hummed coldly, and stopped talking nonsense with Liu Bian. He magnetically escaped, and several gold dust needles about the length of his finger shot towards Liu Bian. Liu Bian only felt that there was a flower in front of him, and a few golden glows covered his chest, abdomen, limbs and other vital areas in the blink of an eye. The speed is almost extreme as expected of Fengying Luosha. The strength is indeed extraordinary. However, Liu Bian didn't even move, and Shenwui's virtual ability appeared. Those gold dust needles passed directly through Liu Bian's body, and they all shot to the ground. Nanny, Luo Sha couldn't help but startled. Maki and the others also felt dumbfounded. This kind of blurring was something they had never seen before. Did I have an illusion? This is Luo Sha's first reaction, but he thought about it carefully, and this person only said a few words to them from beginning to end, without any special actions. How can you get illusion? And Luo Sha carefully felt her own situation, and looked around. She didn't seem to be in an illusion. With this deep incomprehension and deep jealousy, Luo Sha's thoughts moved, and magnetic escape chakra began to flow quickly in his body. The placer gold in the surrounding land and gravel was quickly extracted, and then a square cube of placer gold was formed in the sky above Luo Sha. Chi, under Luo Sha's control. The placer gold on the placer gold cube continued to condense into a placer gold blade after another, densely packed, and madly shot at Liu Bian. However, he still couldn't do anything about Liu Bian. All of them passed through Liu Bian's body and shot onto the opposite ground. After shooting for a while, Luo Sha dignifiedly stopped this useless action. Although I don't know what the method is, this person looks like a ghost, and he is immune to physical attacks. However, Luo Sha clearly felt chakra from the opponent's body, which showed that the opponent was not a phantom, but a real ninja. It's really weird to the extreme. Master Fengying. Is it very enjoyable? Liu Ren stood up at this moment and began to walk towards Luo Sha step by step. Luo Sha and others immediately showed a solemn expression on their faces, because the other party seemed to be about to fight back. Yes, Liu Bian is indeed planning to fight back. Although he can completely immune to any attacks from Luo Sha by using his divine power, he can't just sit there and let Luo Sha do something on himself. Sandbound Hazel, Luo Sha stretched out his hand to Liu Bian, and the boundless gold dust swept towards Liu Bian like a wave, trying to submerge Liu Bian's whole person in the mad sand. This trick is not an attack, but a restraint. Gar used it during this Hongnian exam. The enemy's body was confined with sand first, and then buried in the sandstorm, using the high pressure of the sand to generate tremendous pressure blast your opponents. Liu Bian is naturally very familiar because there is sand in all directions gathering towards Liu Bian. The general instantaneous technique is useless at this time, but this is no problem for Liu Bian. He shot the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, and teleported out of the sands in the blink of an eye. He rushed towards Luo Sha with a mighty rainbow. Luo Sha thought, and amidst the surging of the gold dust, a huge and incomparable fist of gold dust instantly condensed, and then he slammed it against Liu Bian. Just right, try the fairy art I just learned. A hint of excitement flashed in Liu Bian's eyes, and he entered the fairy mode in the blink of an eye, and the strength in his body was suddenly increased dozens of times. Although natural energy only occupies 1/3, it is this 1/3 of natural energy that has brought about earth-shaking changes in Liu Bian. Facing Luo Sha's gold dust fist, Liu Bian didn't dodge, but he slammed his fist directly. Just like that, hitting the gold dust fist. Death? This guy is purely looking for death. Directly use physical skills to deal with Master Fengying's magnetic escape? Isn't this guy crazy? Right. Maki and the others couldn't help but snorted in their hearts. Even Luo Sha couldn't help but flashed a trace of anger in his heart, and directly used his flesh fist to resist his magnetic escape gold. Isn't this person underestimating his Fengying? In a blink of an eye, Liu Bian's fist and Luo Sha's gold dust fist collided fiercely. Boom! What surprised Luo Sha happened. His gold dust fist was suddenly broken open by Liu Bian. With his hands it blasted directly into a ball of golden sand, and burst into a ball in the air. What? This person's body is so amazing. Luo Sha's pupils shrank suddenly, and an extremely surprised and solemn expression flashed across her face. Chapter 67. At the moment when Luo Sha was surprised, Liu Bian didn't stop, but started the instantaneous technique, and continued to rush towards Luo Sha. The speed is almost extreme. It is faster than Luo Sand body art. Fortunately, Luosha had very rich combat experience, and she didn't rush, and slapped her hands violently. Magnetic escape, dust gold shiyu, chi. A large area of fine needles made of gold dust covered an area of several tens of meters in a circle, shooting densely toward Liubane like rain. It can be said that Liubane was enveloped in it. This trick is not only large, but Luosha can also use magnetic escape to continuously recycle placer gold, so in theory, as long as Luosha chakra continues, the attack can be endless. Although Luosha didn't mean that, but there is one thing to say, this trick is indeed a good way to deal with the illusion of divine power. Chi. In the blink of an eye, a large area of dusty gold needles gave Liubane the range of the hornet's nest, and Liubane's body art seemed so vulnerable to an attack of this degree. But before Luosha had time to be proud, he saw that the mysterious person who should have died on the ground turned into a dead branch. Substitute technique. Luosha was surprised with such a basic ninjutsu. Could he break his dust shijure? What a trouble. Even a ninja at the shadow level can't do this at all. Click. At this moment when Luosha was surprised, a loud noise suddenly came from behind, and the mud behind was suddenly broken, and a figure rushed out from the ground. There is no doubt that it is Liubane. He jumped directly into the air and slammed towards Luosha. However, Luosha is not a vegetarian after all. With a slap with both hands, the Aventurin cube originally suspended in the air rumblingly slammed into Liubane. Liubane still didn't dodge or dodge, but the right hand that was originally clenched into a fist was opened directly, and the spiral pill was directly condensed at this time. The gold dust cube also smashed in front of Liubane, and Liubane directly pressed the spiral pill up. This is not an ordinary spiral pill, but a Zanshu spiral pill. Boom! The placer gold cube was directly blasted out of a large pit by Liubane, and then it was beaten by Liubane and flew back. The placer gold cube is as tall as a person, and it is all made of placer gold, enough to easily smash a person into flesh. It is simply a big killer unexpectedly. In front of this person now, it looks like an unused toy. The expression on Luosha's face became more and more solemn, and the person in front of him put too much pressure on him. His hands began to slap on the ground violently, and large tracts of placer gold began to be extracted by Luosha. But seeing Luosha's surroundings, wave after wave of gold dust began to churn, full of momentum. I stop this person. You guard the crane and let go. Luosha stared at Liubane stubbornly, and shouted at Magi on one side at the same time. The surrounding waves of gold dust began to rush towards Liuli frantically. The prison sand is buried. Under Luosha's control, Liubane is like a canoe floating in the stormy waves, and may be submerged by the waves at any time. This move is Luosha's real ultimate move. He can control the placer gold to bury the enemy in the ground more than 200 meters, then use the entire sea of Aventurin to crush the enemy. Even the most powerful person will be crushed directly at this moment. Maki and the others no longer had any nonsense, and Kiki rushed towards Sho. He went to rescue Shao. They had been hesitant before and did not take immediate action, mainly because they were worried that Shao was not something they could control at all. If the restriction imposed by the mysterious man on Shao is really lifted, Shao will surely go violently again. So a relatively better way is for Lord Luosha to defeat the mysterious person and control it. But as far as it seems, the situation is far from the optimism they imagined, and Lord Luosha has no confidence in defeating the mysterious man in that case. He could only take the risk and rescue Sho. But at this time Luosha discovered that a mysterious person stood calmly on the spot, seemingly without any intention to dodge. Luosha suddenly felt something wrong, but at this time, he could only forcefully suppress this slight error, continue to control the sand, and swept the past fiercely against Liubane. Soon, the wave of gold dust completely overwhelmed Liuli. Successful, Luosha's complexion couldn't help but feel happy, and wanted to control all the placer gold convection blades to suppress. But at this moment, Luosha suddenly sensed that there was no one under the sand. The shuriken shadow clone technique. At the same time, a familiar voice sounded. Chapter 68. Luosha turned her head subconsciously and saw that the mysterious person who should have been suppressed by him under the sand, did not know when, appeared beside Sho. He shaking his hands. They shot a huge shuriken at Magi. How come? How did he escape? Luosha was puzzled. He clearly saw with his own eyes that this person was submerged by gold dust. How did Liubane escape? It's very simple. Naturally, before the placer gold submerged him, he used God's might to transfer himself to Shao. Boom! A burst of blue smoke flashed from the huge shuriken, which turned into countless ordinary shurikens, densely packed, and shot at the Magi and the Sky. Maki and the others suddenly changed their expressions. In a hurry, they couldn't cope with such an attack at all. At the critical moment, Luosha controlled the sand, forming a wall of sand in front of Maki and the others. which completely blocked the sky full of shurikens. Master Feng Ying, can this far ascend? However, at this moment, a hand suddenly stretched out from behind, holding a shuriken in his hand, and it pressed it against Luo Sha's neck. The cold sharp blade made Luo Sha suddenly startled, her body stiffened suddenly, and she no longer dared to move rashly. Boom, and at this time, the mysterious person who was by Shohei's side and suppressed the two of Magi immediately turned into blue smoke and disappeared. It turned out that it was just a shadow clone. When Luo Sha's face was full of shock. With his cultivation base, the other party came behind him, and he couldn't even notice the slightest. This is simply incredible. Of course, if Luo Sha knew that Liu Jian was proficient in time and space ninjutsu, she wouldn't be so surprised. After Liu Bian moved away from the sandstorm through the divine power, he used the shadow clone to attack Maki and the others to attract Luo Sha's attention. His body used his divine power again and quietly appeared behind Luo Sha. It worked in one fell swoop not long ago. Jilei was so easily dealt with by Liu Bian. Liu Bian seemed to have discovered the new tactical usage of Shenwubi. Chapter 56. It's time to expand Seinen business. After Luo Sha was put on the neck with a knife by Liu Bian, Magi and the others didn't dare to move, and Luo Sha also didn't dare to move. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became extremely tense. Your Excellency, we promise that we will not act rashly. Please let go of Master Feng Ying first. After Magi swallowed a mouthful of saliva, Shen said with a flowing edge, even if you act rashly, what's the use? Liu Ren smiled softly. Maki and others were suddenly speechless. Yes, the strength of this mysterious man is simply too strong. Even Luo Sha was easily defeated by him. Even if they all add up, they may not be his opponent. What's more, now that Feng Ying has fallen into this person's hands, what qualifications do they have to negotiate terms with this person? Sir, what is your purpose? Luo Sha is worthy of being the shadow of a village. Even in the face of a life and death crisis, she is calm and calm. My purpose, it's inconvenient to tell you at the moment, but I can assure you that I have no intention of capturing Xiao, so you can rest assured. It doesn't matter if you don't rest assured. Anyway, wait a little longer and I will return Xiao to you. Liu Bian understates authentically. Liu Bian said similar things at the beginning, but at that time Luo Sha didn't believe in such nonsense. But now, Rosa said that she believed it a little. After all, this mysterious person could kill him, but the other party did not do so. Having said this, Liu Bian gently moved the shuriken placed in front of Luo Sha's neck. He believed that Luo Sha was a person who knew how to advance and retreat. The facts are just as Liu Bian thought, although there is still full of suspicion and incomprehension. Of course, there is also a strong guard. Luo Sha did not continue to convex Liu Bian. The atmosphere at the scene just became weird. Liu Bian was watching Luo Sha's gaze, and once again sat next to Xiao in a stately place. Rashamaki and the others didn't speak, just staring at Liu Bian all the time. Xiao location sign in location is generated. He didn't stand up directly until the system prompt sounded in Liu Bian's mind. Master Feng Ying, Xiao will return it to you now, Liu Bian said to Luo Sha, slapped his hands directly. Ming Shinman. Solve. The red Torini that had been suppressed on Marizuru disappeared. Roar. Xiao, who had been suppressed for a full half an hour, rushed towards Little Bane in a rage. However, Liu Ren easily escaped by using the instantaneous technique. Now, Xiao is yours, Master Feng Ying. Following this sentence, a vortex appeared in Liu Bian's eyes again, and soon his whole person was sucked in and disappeared. As for the sign-in, because the sign-in opportunity has been used up, I can only wait until the next time I come here to sign in. Luo Sha, Maki and the others looked at each other, confused. They didn't expect that the mysterious person would really just leave like this, go so simply. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69. Did nothing. So why is this guy suppressing Marikaru? However, at this moment, it was not the time to think about these things carefully. Luo Sha slapped both palms and began to control a large number of dust storms and swept towards Xiao. One person and one beast started a wonderful and hearty battle. Although this is not a sandy hidden village, and there is no such an endless desert around it, Luo Sha's strength can be said to have been greatly discounted. But it has to be said that Luo Sha is indeed not simple. Even in this situation, he still defeated the runaway Shohei and sealed the Xiao in the black tea kettle. Okay. Go back to the village. Luo Sha took a few breaths and greeted Maki and they began to turn back towards Shen village. You have to find a new man's Huli immediately. Luo Sha couldn't help but think in her heart as she hurried along. and the mysterious person before, you must also find out who is sacred. But this person really doesn't want to be an enemy of Sha Yin, and his strength is too strong, but he has to be careful. Thinking of the mysterious man who defeated him easily, Luo Sha's face inevitably showed a identified look, but what Luo Shawan would not have thought was that he had actually been targeted by the mysterious man he was jealous of. Yes, Ryubana started to play Shan Village's idea. Now that Konoha has been signed in almost all places by Ryublade, it is time to consider expanding his sign in business. Shan is a good choice. Luosha's magnetic escape sans gold, Ryubana said he is still very satisfied. Under the Shenwubi Bridge, there is a secret base with Earthgululu. Abaiju emerged from the ground and said to Dai-Tu, unsurprisingly, Nagato and the others have guessed it. You are the one behind the scenes. The other day, they also guessed that your real purpose is the reincarnation Eye of Vortex Nagato. Another Baiju came out immediately. He added, Thixia O organization has put you on the kill list. If they see you again, they will kill you without hesitation. The soiled brows wrinkled tightly. The thing he didn't want to see happen. After all, indeed, no one in the ninja world is a fool, let alone the 3 leaders of Akatsuki that formed and developed from scratch. They are simple and kind, but that doesn't mean they don't have IQ. I don't know good or bad. The eyes of reincarnation are not his thing. Jetsu coldly snorted. They don't trust you at all. How can this be good? The black and white voice is still as calm as always. After all, this thing is an old monster that has lived for thousands of years. To remain silent and fell into contemplation. The big drama he carefully arranged was completely destroyed by his own clan, causing his purpose to be completely exposed. It seems that it has reached the point of irreversibility. No matter how foolishly Nagato was, Nagato couldn't believe him anymore. Our plan needs the eyes of reincarnation, not the Vortex Nagato. After a long while, Motao said such words leisurely. You mean? Black and white stared at the soil, seeming to have guessed something. Give reincarnation, find a new owner? Tai-Tu solemnly said. He has already made a decision. Do you have any candidates? Hihoto asked again, agreeing with the method of bringing soil. After all, Nagato really couldn't save it. Since these are Madara's eyes, the first thing to consider is naturally the Uchiha clan, the descendants of Madara. It's not just anyone who is qualified to have these eyes. Dai-Tu actually didn't understand why Madara would give the reincarnation eye to Vortex tribe, but in terms of blood, Uchiha was the most suitable transplant. Chapter 57 Special Reward, Shout Chakranite Akatsuki Organization Base. In a certain room, Gululu, Abaiju quietly emerged from the ground, and carefully observed Nagato, who was lying on the bed with a slight snoring noise, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face, and he sank into the ground again. Nagato is already asleep. You can do it, and tell Daito the news right away. Shirazu immediately passed this idea to the other Shirazu in Uchiha Madara's secret base. Soon, a special vortex appeared in Nagato's room. The masked soil silently appeared beside Nagato's bed. Nagato, I withdrew these eyes. You don't deserve to have them. Dai-Tu snorted coldly in his heart, and then shot directly, digging out a pair of eyes of Nagato. What? Nagato's scream seemed so harsh in the silent night sky. Nagato, Nagato, Yohiko and Zayanin were the first to rush in. They broke into the door and saw at first sight that a masked man was being sucked away by the special vortex. Chapter 70. It's you. What did you do to Nagato? Yohiko only had time to yell at Dai-Tu, and the whole person with 2 fell into the space vortex, disappearing completely. Only then did the 2 of them hurried over to check Nagato's situation, and they saw blood flowing in Nagato's eyes and deep-set eye sockets. Obviously a pair of eyes has been dug out by life. Uchiha Madara, Yohiko roared angrily up to the sky. All of Nagato's eyes were dug out by Shang. Wouldn't it be abolished in this life? Konoha, Hokage officer Sarutobi Rishi and Nami Fang Shugate are all there, and Jalei is also there. It's a pity that the information I got from the 3 of Nagato is the same as the information I got from Watergate. We can't find more clues about that mysterious person for the time being. Jalei also told all the information he had obtained from Yohiko and the others to Sarutobi Hizumi and Hafeng Mizumin. Sarutobi Hizun just nodded and took a sip of dry smoke, which was not too surprising after all. Puffed and Watergate was also on the scene at that time, and what they experienced was the same thing. What Nagato people saw, Watergate must have seen it too. What's more, the mysterious man seemed to not want his identity to be exposed, and he wore a mask from beginning to end. Therefore, in addition to some ninjutsu and other methods of this person, it is more difficult for them to grasp more information. Teacher, Watergate, since that mysterious person can fly the technique of Thunder God, can we try to investigate from this aspect? After several people discussed for a while, Jilly also began to make proposals. Everyone agrees with his suggestion. After all, the art of Thunder God is an S-level time-space ninjutsu developed by Erdame, which has always been recorded in the Book of Seals. The sealed book is personally kept by Konoha and Hokage. Any technique in it must pass through Hokage if it wants to flow out. In this way, it is indeed possible to narrow the scope of the screening on a large scale. As for the Black Flame, so far, no one knows what kind of method it is. No matter it is Boften Shuman, Yurihong and Metke, they do not know the specific name of this technique. It's just that suddenly I saw this kind of flame ignited on the opponent's body. It sounded like the pupil technique of the Uchiha clan, but looking at the entire ninja world, various strange people and strangers emerged in an endless stream, and no one could be sure of this. This level is over, and there is no handle left. Seeing all the flowing blades through the telescope technique, he completely let go of his mind as usual. After another 2 hours of meditation training, Liu Ren turned off the lights and went to bed, and fell asleep. The next day the first thing Liu Ren did after getting up was to leave a clone at home. And he himself appeared in the Shao location that was spawned just yesterday through divine power. A new sign-in location is detected, where Shao is located. Do you want to sign in immediately? Sign in, Ling. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and getting the reward Shao Chakra. With this prompt, Liu Ren immediately felt that a huge chakra energy had been added to his body. Where am I? Ha, I actually broke the seal? Kid, are you looking for death? At the same time, a frantic laughter also rang, and the tail beast chakra on Liu Bian began to rush out frantically in the blink of an eye. A guard crane ran out of Liu Bian's body so abruptly. Liu Bian, at this moment, he felt a little speechless. Shouldn't the system inject a thought or something into Shohei, and let Shohei unconditionally obey his master? I'm afraid it is not bound to a low-quality system, especially the guard crane in front of me was much weaker than the guard crane in Shan Village. The reward given to him by the system is only a partial chakra, not a complete one. In other words, it can be seen as a reduced and weakened version of the Show crane. Little devil, are you my human's Huli? Although I don't know why you unlocked the seal, but you go to die? Amidst the violent laughter of Shao, he began to hit Liu Ren with a direct palm. Pets dare to be so presumptuous in front of their owners? It's really against you. Liu Ren smiled coldly, and instantly entered the fairy mode with his thoughts. A shot of the spiral pill was condensed in his hand, and he slammed the paw that Shao had patted over. Pet? I'm going to kill you. Shao was so angry that Liu Bian's pet screamed, and the force in his hand became a bit stronger, and he wanted to pat Liu Bian into fleshy mud. Boom. The next moment, Shao's slap and helix mare collided fiercely, sending out a violent shock wave of energy. In that energy frenzy, Shao's huge body was shocked to take 2 steps backwards. You little devil, there are still 2 things left, Shao said with a solemn expression. 2 things? Pets are not obedient. Today I will ravage pets online. Liu Ren snorted coldly. Xianfa, Super Jade Helix Pill. A spiral pill almost the size of a person appeared in front of Liu Ren. That terrifying energy made Shao feel a kind of suffocation, a kind of trembling. What terrible power is this? Shao Zuru only had time to sigh, and he was directly hit by Liu Bian's super large jade spiral pill. Boom. Shao was like a kite with a broken wire. It flew a distance of several hundred meters, and broke several trees one after another. Chapter 71. Then he collapsed to the ground like a dead dog. With a flower in front of her, a figure appeared in front of Shao, and he stabbed Shao with his feet in disgust. Did you die? Get up if you don't. Chapter 58. Fancy abuse. Bear 100 styles unreasonably. I was so underestimated. Shao was angry, let out a low growl in his mouth, then suddenly got up, opened his mouth and condensed a tail of beast jade, and bombarded Liu Bian. Yeah, is it true? Even if it is true, you are still a younger brother. Liu Bian sneered disdainfully, and his body shook, and the person disappeared. Even the tail beast jade that Shao had just shot out with him also disappeared. Boom. Just when Shao felt awkward, the tail beast jade he had shot out by himself fell on himself. Poor Shao, who had just been beaten into the air, was beaten into the air again before he had time to breathe. What's the matter? What did you do? Shao rolled on the ground for a long time before roaring convection blade in fright. It's just a simple ninjutsu, not worth mentioning. Liu Bian curled his lips and said nonchalantly. At the moment when it was just a matter of time, Liu Bian used a shot of Flying Thunder God to transfer the tail beast jade to Shao himself. You are indeed not an ordinary person, you are very different, but if you are like this, you want me to surrender you and dream? Shao hummed coldly. Yes, not bad. The more you have this attitude, the more pleasure I have to tame pets. If you surrender easily, I don't think it is interesting yet, Ryubana said with great interest. Next, let's start the fun performance of Fancy Bear Abuse. Fancy Bear Abuse. It took a long time for Xiao to react. The bear in the opponent's mouth seemed, maybe, he was talking about himself, simply bullying the beast too much. I'm obviously a civet cat. Okay, the first trick is to let you taste the taste of barbecue. Ryubana downplayed the authenticity, and when the riding wheel turned around, Amaterasu turned out to Xiao on one of Xiao's arm. Black flames suddenly rushed up, and the goods suddenly screamed and fell to the ground and rolled. No matter how he used chakra to suppress it, it was useless. The black inflammation seemed to be more and more vigorous. What kind of flame is this? There was a hint of panic in Xiao's voice. Unless your hand is chopped off, it is useless at all. You will be burned to slag, Ryubana said calmly as if watching the excitement. You bastard, Xiao exclaimed angrily. It is not difficult for him to break his arm. Anyway, it will grow out again, but this kind of thing is a humiliation to him. However, in front of the domineering Amaterasu, Xiao finally chose the method he was least willing to choose, and he really abandoned the black flame burning arm. Below, the second type, Xiao, who had just broken his arm, suddenly heard such a voice in his ear, and he felt that the Ryubana in front of him had disappeared suddenly at the same time. A heavy blow hit him. Xiao flew straight away. Ryubana had already opened the 8 gates of Dunjia to the 6th gate at this time, and ravaged the weakened version of Xiao in front of him. Boom! Xiao didn't even land in the air, and he was knocked into the air by another force. In this way, Xiao became a ball, just being kicked in the air by Ryubana. After the kick, Ryubana stepped him directly into the ground. Poor Xiao has been beaten weakly by Liu Ren. You, who are you? Xiao breathlessly stared at Liu Ren and shouted. At this time, Ryubana's eyes were circling, his pupils were surging, the blue energy gathered crazily outside his body, and Suzuo Neng, who suddenly appeared, and Ryubana seemed to be holding a pet, and he controlled a giant Susa to hold Xiao's Yuru in his hand and put it in front of his own eyes. The previous methods are not enough to deter Shou Crane. Only Saseo, a truly godlike method, can bring the greatest shock to Shou Crane. You know, the image of Saseo is actually the legendary Susanoo. As soon as Suzuo came out, Xiao's Yuru's entire bear began to tremble, and a not-so-good memory flashed in his mind involuntarily, unreasonably. You are stronger than that person back then. Xiao's voice was so weak and desperate back then, it was scary that the person had only those eyes, but the guy in front of him, even if he didn't need those eyes, could still ravage him. That person back then, did you mean Uchiha Madara? Liu Ren asked with interest. The reward of the system still carries the memory of the tail beast in this world. It seems that during the Warring States period, Chijuma Senju and Madara Uchiha jointly captured the 9 big-tailed beasts and distributed them to each village, which indeed left unforgettable memories for the tailed beasts. Don't mention that name in front of me, Xiao said with a dark face. Don't show up like this, as if I would treat you like that. I am not Uchiha Madara. Chapter 72. Ryubana curled his lips and said, with me, you are my pet, not a war machine. Xiao was taken aback for a long time before he said leisurely, that's how you treat your pet, that is what you found yourself, and you yelled at me as soon as you came out. Whom do I not teach you to teach? Although the middle process seemed a bit tortuous, the result was still good. He was convinced by Ryubana in this way, and honestly got into Ryubana's body. Of course, in order to prevent accidents, Ryubana still added a gossip seal to Xiao. Okay, Xiao, now lend me all your chakras, let me try what it feels like, Liu Ren said to Shou Crane in his body enthusiastically. You are so strong, do you still need my chakra? Immediately after Ryubana's mental space, Xiao's somewhat distant voice came. It's cooler, Liu Ren said. Besides, you won't be bored by staying inside. Wouldn't it be okay to play with me? Can I refuse? Xiao proudly said. You can give it a try. I'm actually also very curious about what interesting things will happen next, Liu Ren said to Shou He in a very kind tone. Xiao. In the next moment, Liu Ren received Xiao's chakra all at once, and the whole person was immediately surrounded by a blazing light. It's the same as Naruto's 9 Lama pattern. It's just that the color is not golden, but a kind of cement gray light. In terms of cool, it is still a bit worse than the 9 Lama model. Of course, the power is even worse. I don't know how much. There is no way to compare the original Xiao with the 9 Lamas, let alone the weakened version of Xiao. Ryubana tried it, and the increase was slightly stronger than that of the fairy mode, but it was also limited as for the others. There are a lot of abilities that should be possessed. Naruto can do everything he can do, Even the tail beast Jade can be sent except that the power is weaker. Chapter 59. It's time to take in a few brothers, that's it. I didn't expect that one day, I would become a pillar of strength. After the experiment, Liu Ren clapped his hands, which can be said to be in a good mood, but suddenly, Liu Ren thought of a very interesting question. If one day, he will generate all the locations of the 9 big-tailed beasts, and complete the corresponding 9 check-ins, respectively, and obtain the chakras of the 9 big-tailed beasts, so what will happen? Will he directly become the weakened version of the 10-tailed man's strength? The weakened version of the 10 tails will also produce the power of the 6 powers, right? At that time, wouldn't he have reached the 6th level? Thinking about it, it's really infinite expectations. Moreover, this matter is really a parable. When Liu Ren thought of this, his eyes suddenly couldn't help but shine with excitement, but suddenly Liu Bian couldn't help but complain about this idea of his own. If he tortured all the 9 big-tailed beasts and then signed in, why not just seal all the 9 big-tailed beasts into his body, using the system to sign in? It seems a bit redundant, and with his current strength, it is indeed not difficult to capture the 9 big-tailed beasts. However, this kind of thinking was just thinking about it. After calming down and analyzing, he still gave up this plan. For one thing, Liu Bian didn't want to nuclear weapons from other villages. It was okay for chakra to them. It would be a bit unnatural to them directly. Liu Bian is not that kind of person. Secondly, if Liu Ren really wants to do this, he is not sure whether he controlled the 10 tails or the 10 tails swallowed him. In the end, bringing this oil almost became a puppet with 10 tails. Liu Bian can't guarantee that he can have the willpower that is so firm and perverted as with oil. What's more, the 10 tails at that time were not the real 10 tails, and the most powerful 9 llamas did not merge into it. Thirdly, if Liu Bian really becomes a 10-tailed person's Huli, then he must always worry about whether Heiju will give himself a black tiger when he falls asleep. It was a bit too awful to live that day. Besides, people, Heiju worked so hard for thousands of years to resurrect his mother. To be honest, he couldn't bear to destroy it. It's never easy for people to get black. However, the idea of catching the tail beast and rubbing against chakra is a good plan. The only problem is that if Liu Ren wants to achieve this plan perfectly, it seems a bit strenuous on his own. Of course, it is not that he is not strong enough, but that he does not have enough intelligence capabilities. After all, if Liu Ren really wanted to carry out this plan, if he started to attack the 9 big-tailed beasts one after another, he would definitely choose the few people who had left the village and drifted in the world of ninja. For example, the 4-tailed man's Huli Laozi left the village because of disagreement with 2 Aing. For example, the 6-tailed man's Huli Bubble Man is even more exotic than Laozi. Do you dare to believe that this guy turned out to be the betrayal of Wu Ain village? These people's Huli are undoubtedly Liu Bian's first choice. They are originally rootless duckweed, and no one may know if they are dead. It won't disturb anyone at all if you attack them. Chapter 73. Liu Bian only needs to pull the tail beast out of their bodies, and then seal the tail beast in. After the sign-in location is completed, it won't die. Everyone is happy, but Liu Ren was not clear about the whereabouts of those 2 weird people's Huli. In addition to these 2 wonderful human pillars, other human pillars must find suitable opportunities, and this also requires intelligence. Could it be that I have to accept a few brothers? Liu Ren couldn't help but think so. It seems that this is indeed necessary at this moment. Those members of the first-day group Akatsuki in the ninja world could not help but came to Liu Bian's mind. Honest ghosts, who would rather commit suicide than divulge information. Our so faithful and reliable father Jiodu, as long as you give money, even if you want to poke a hole in the sky, he won't blink his brow. The art duo are both cool and funny. Although they are a little bit paranoid because of their pursuit of art, they do not compromise on their tasks. I'll go. Thinking about it this way, it's really a bit superior. Are you really good at it? After returning to the village, think about it carefully and try to work out a feasible plan. Liu Bian was already a bit unable to contain the excitement in his heart. The space vortex flashed past, and Liu Bian's figure disappeared. Xiao, I want to ask you a question. How is your relationship with the 9 llamas? Liu Ren wanted to switch back to his body to go to work, but suddenly he thought of such a problem. That nasty guy? Why did you mention him suddenly? When Xiao heard Kyubi, he couldn't help snorting coldly with a look of disgust. It seems that this Xiao is the same as the original Xiao, except for not knowing when he was caught by Liu Bian as a human pillar. Everything else is highly consistent with the original version. Even the character is the same. All hate Kyubi as always. You seem to look upset at Kyubi. Liu Ren couldn't help but ask, gossiping. What is it? Has he ever abused you? On the basis of that stinky fox, Xiao is quite upset. What's so great about a tail? In Naruto, The relationship between Xiaozuru and Kyuubi was very bad, and they fought as soon as they met, and Ryzen was really curious about what it was, but this seems to have hit Xiao's sore spot, and Xiao didn't want to say more. Forget it, you can pull it down if you don't say it, but I tell you, the 9 llamas are in Konoha, you have controlled chakra, don't let him feel you. Liu Bian confessed to Xiao solemnly. Why do I need to be so afraid of him? Xiao said, unconvinced. Of course you don't have to be afraid of him, it's because I don't want to have any trouble. Liu Bian explained for Shohei. Nani? What are you talking about? What do you think of Kyuubi in front of you with your skills? Are you still scrupulous about him? Xiao cried. Don't you understand it? Life is boring if you just fight and kill. Salted fish have fun. Liu Ren smiled and said to Xiao, salted fish? Do you like that disgusting thing? Liu Bian, both pillars are born, and Naruto will be born in at least half a year, and the Kyuubi rebellion will come. That would be a good time for Liu Bian to rub against chakra. Whether he was Xiaozuru or not, he would always attack Kyuubi. Then it's settled. As soon as I talked about this Xiao, I got enthusiasm, and agreed without thinking about it. Liu Bian, these two hate so deeply. In case they sign in and sign a weakened version of Kyuubi, they won't fight in themselves, right? Chapter 60. Putting away the mixed thoughts in his mind, Liu Ren quietly replaced his shadow clone, and continued to patrol Konoha as a guard, bragging and talking nonsense with colleagues. You can get a lot of wages by walking around the village every day, which is not too good for those who are originally social animals. What? While bragging with colleagues, Liu Bian and the others suddenly heard exclamations coming from the front. The complexion of several people changed slightly, and they speeded up their pace and ran over. They saw a lot of women ran out in a public bath. Not far ahead, in a panic, there are even people wrapped in bath towels. Spring is boundless. For a time, whoosh, then a figure jumped directly from the window outside the bathroom, and ran away like a gust of wind. Extremely fast, it disappeared in the blink of an eye. The guards look at me and I look at you, all of them sweating on their foreheads. That person just now, is it Sir Jiraiya? Someone swallowed and asked. Yes, probably, maybe, isn't it? The other person also swallowed and replied. Liu Bian is called a speechless, and Jalei is also a rare wonder. But after Jiraiya came back, Konoha would become a lot more lively. The day's patrol is over in the afternoon. The rotisserie. Chapter 74. Kakashi, Metke, Yurihong and Liu Bian sat at the table. Kakashi, both of them are my best friends. Don't you keep a straight face? Youth can't be so lifeless. Metke, who had always had excess energy, stretched out his thumb and said to Kakashi, as we all know, Metke and Kakashi have always been a pair of close friends who can entrust life and death. Liu Bian will only train with Metke after get off work. As for the rest of the time, Metke all belongs to Kakashi. However, because I don't have much contact with Kakashi, Liu Bian and Kakashi are not very familiar. He now feels about Kakashi, except for wanting to see what Kakashi's real face looks like under the mask. He has no other ideas. After all, this is a guy who even wears a mask on the statue on Hokage Rock. A year ago, Kakashi suffered the loss of Nahorlin. After being hit hard, he chose to join the ANB and paralyzed himself through a large number of tasks. Even now it has not recovered. As Kakashi's best friend, Metke, who was born in poverty, took the initiative to entertain guests for dinner, but also called Liu Ren and Yurihan to help Kakashi open the night together. Kakashi knew what Metke wanted, but he was indeed in no mood to entertain Metke and the others. After simply greeted Liu Ren Yurihong, he said nothing. Kakashi, this grilled meat is still very good, you eat it quickly, or you will be eaten by the two guys Liu Bian and Hong. Kakashi, my strength has improved a lot recently. After we finish eating, let's have another youth competition. Metke was trying to untie Kakashi's heart knot throughout the dinner, but the effect was not great. Kakashi, Master Jiu Zine is about to give birth. Hong asked a topic that Liu Bian was more interested in. Well, the mother should be born in less than 3 months. Kakashi replied he is not only a student of Bofton Schumann, but also a subordinate of Bofton Schumann. He usually has the most contact with Bofton Schumann, so he naturally knows, and it's not classified as confidential, and it's okay to talk to other people. Oh, isn't it? Is it already so fast? Metke said heartlessly. Liu Ren couldn't help but feel a move in his heart. Is the Nine Tails Rebellion coming in less than 3 months? He couldn't help sighing faintly. Is the end of Bo Feng Shui Men's destiny coming soon? But for Liu Bian, although he knew the fate of Bofton Watergate and Uzumaki 9 Sina in advance, he didn't plan to interfere. Whether it's Bo Feng Schumann or Uzumaki 9 Sina, it's just a name for Liu Ren, and he doesn't have much friendship with him unless it is his family and friends who have a good relationship with him. such as a middle-2 teenager with thick eyebrows and watermelon head. The life and death of other people has nothing to do with Liu Jian. Liu Ren has never regarded himself as a savior, but at that time, he will suppress the 9 tails to generate the location of the 9 llamas, which may change something. Bo Feng Shuman is dead or alive. It depends on his own good fortune. A meal was over quickly, and Metkei's action to untie Kakashi's knot didn't seem to be very successful, and Kakashi was still so melancholy. I don't want to say more. Red, there is a new movie released tonight. Do you want to watch it together? When leaving, Liu Bian took out the movie tickets he had prepared. Okay, there's nothing wrong with a meal. Let's go to the movies together, Metkei exclaimed excitedly. Hong couldn't help but glare at Metkei. Are you a pig? Even in Kakashi's current state, he couldn't help but lower his head and hold his forehead. What a strange thing he knew. Can I solemnly ask you for one thing? Liu Ren said to Metkei with a smile. Let's talk about Liu Bian. Depending on the relationship between you and me, I will definitely help you with your affairs. Metkei patted his chest, clapping loudly. Can I ask you to roll away gracefully? The kind that rolls far and far. Nani, let's go. Kakashi really couldn't stand it anymore, and took Metkei, who was in the way, and walked away. Well, the guy who got in the way finally left. Hong, let's go to the movies. Liu Ren invited Hong. Hong nodded lightly, with a hint of blush on her face. In the evening, Liu Bian, who had ended the wonderful nightlife, returned to his room after 2 hours of spiritual meditation training. Liu Ren did not go to bed as usual, but began to plan carefully what should be the next step. The Kyuubi rebellion more than 2 months later was an opportunity, and he didn't need to bother too much about it. As long as Kyuubi was released, the suppression would be over, but for other things, there must be a plan. In fact, he had already had a general idea of this issue when he patrolled during the day, and returning at night was just to sort out his ideas and consider the trade-offs. Finally, the next action plan, Liu Bian has been determined. Tachibana Yakura, it seems that we will meet again soon. Chapter 61. Yes, Liu Jian's first target has already been decided, that is, the 4th generation of Water Shadow Kodachi Tachibana Yakura. Of course, Ryubana didn't make this decision casually. He took multiple factors into consideration before taking aim at Kodachi Tachibana Yakura. First of all, Wu'in village has a unique geographical location, surrounded by water, and it can be said to be a relatively closed village. In addition, Wu'in village has always been ruling in the ruthless blood and mist, which further disconnected Wu'in village from the outside world. Looking at the entire ninja world, Wu'in is like an isolated village. Chapter 75. The news is not easy to spread to Kodachi Tachibana Yakura. Moreover, Liu Ren went to Wu'in this time not just to start with Kodachi Tachibana Yakura. He also wanted to find the dried persimmon ghost shark and see if he could draw the dried persimmon ghost shark over. This is a more reliable partner. Secondly, Wu'in's 7 ninja knives were killed by Liu Ren in one go, and Shui Ying imposed high-pressure management on the village under the control of this oil, causing Wu'in to be in turmoil. Whether it is the power that has been severely consumed by the mist or the chaotic environment, it is more conducive to Liu Bian's actions. That's it. Liu Ren made this decision very happily. The next day Liu Bian left a clone of fish in the village, but he himself used his divine power to quietly appear outside Konoha. After several hours of rushing, Liu Bian appeared on a dock. Although Shenwubi is an artifact for long-distance teleportation, there is a prerequisite that he needs to know where to teleport. He hadn't been to Wu'in village once, so naturally he couldn't use the power of God. Just like everyone else, he had to take a boat after going there once. Wu'in village will become his back garden at that time. You can sneak into the past to sign in every day, and it's good to think about it. In fact, Liu Bian's original plan was to go to Shan village to sign in, but the priority of this matter was obviously not as high as the location where the tail beast was spawned, so it could only be temporarily released. Brother, do you want to take a boat? As soon as Liu Bian went to the pier, many boatmen surrounded him, looking at Liu Bian, and asked with great enthusiasm, "Of course I need to take a boat. I want to go to the water country, the village of fog." Liu Bian replied. Who would have thought that when the surrounding boatmen heard this, they would shake their heads and quickly disperse like birds and beasts. Brother, don't you know that the water country is a closed country? Outsiders can't go anywhere. If you get close, you will die. The ninjas there don't welcome us. A kind-hearted uncle wearing a hat explained a few words to Liu Ren, and then he hurriedly walked away. Liu Ren waited here for a long time, and asked many people, but no boatman was willing to send him to the water country. It also made Liu Bian haha, Uchiha Ryubana. At this time, a sound that seemed to be familiar, Liu Ren couldn't help turning his head to look, and he realized that he met two acquaintances. It turned out to be Yohiko and Zion, and because Ryu defeated the conspiracy with Soil last time, it can be said that it saved Akatsuki with one hand. Yohiko and Zion are still very grateful to Ryu. Seeing Ryuban, I feel very excited, really. Ryuban, are you going to the water country? After seeing Liu Jian's face and confirming the identity of the other party, Yohiko and Zion walked to Liu Jian's side with a slight smile on their faces. Yohiko, Zion, it's you. Liu Ren smiled happily, and his impression of both Yohiko and Zion was also very good. I am very willing to associate with such a gentleman. I'm going to the land of water to do something, but I didn't expect a boatman here would not go to the land of water. Liu Ren shrugged and said with a wry smile, that's a coincidence. If you met us, we happen to be going to the land of water. If you don't dislike it, it's better to go with us. Yohiko spoke very enthusiastically and sincerely to Ryuzen's proposal. If you go to the country of water, the boatman will take us away. No, these boatmen are very afraid of the ninjas in the land of water. They won't bring them no matter who goes to the land of water. However, we have our own people. Yohiko smiled and waved to the boatman on a small boat on the water, and the boatman immediately waved in response. Most of the people in the Akatsuki organization are poor ninjas. Some of their families live here, so we have ships available. Zion explained to Liu Bian on the side. It turned out to be like this. Liu Ren nodded suddenly with an enlightenment while secretly glad that there is a boat to go to the country of water. I also felt a little pain in the egg. Originally Liu Bian felt that no one knew him along the way, so he just changed his clothes and wore sunglasses, but didn't use the transformation technique. But he did not expect to meet an acquaintance on the road, and they are still two people who are absolutely magnificent. But Liu Bian's trip has to do some less glorious things, but this is only a small trouble after all. It makes Liu Bian a little bit painful. Nothing more. The big deal is Wu Yan. Just find an excuse to leave, and then use the transformation technique to become someone else. If that's the case, I will bother you. Ryuzen did not reject Yohiko's kindness and agreed. Both Yohiko and Zion were overjoyed, greeted the member of Akatsuki who was sailing the boat, and led the three to row towards the country of water. The journey was long and suitable for nonsense. Good poem. Liu Ren started talking with Yohiko and Zion, and the three people have a good impression of each other and intend to make friends, so the atmosphere is still very good among them. It is inevitable to talk about the purpose of going to the country of water. Yohiko and the others also enthusiastically proposed that they can help, but Liu Ren vaguely passed it through without saying clearly. Yohiko and the others are also very enthusiastic about this, so they didn't ask much. However, they didn't conceal the purpose of the two Yohiko going to the water country. It's really hateful. Ryuzen, the Uchiha Madara, after his last plan was destroyed by you, he secretly gouged out Nagato's eyes. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.